Hello. So I've been sick, which you would know if my last upload had audio. Like, I went to go watch it back for whatever reason because I uploaded it on my laptop and then I pulled it up on my TV. And I'm like, there's no sound. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Because I recorded it on OBS. When I go live, I use OBS for the video, but it like the microphone defaults. And so most of my scenes in OBS don't have an audio input because I never need one, which is why I didn't have sound. But then I was watching it and I was like 5 seconds and I was like, I'll leave it up anyway. I changed the title to like no audio LOL. And something in me was like, well, maybe like there's something still to be gained. Like maybe there's something that I didn't say, or maybe there's something that I did say that wasn't meant to be heard. Maybe it was meant to be interpreted up to self. And so I was like, oh, I'll leave it. And then I was watching it back and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm seeing all of these things that I didn't see myself when I first recorded it. And then all of your lovely comments on that video just shattered my ego because y'all was like, oh, you didn't have to say anything. Like this video was so perfect without sound. Meanwhile, I like narrated that entire video. So my ego's bruised. I'm kidding. Hey, Sandra, how are you doing? Did you really? Well, there you go. Here I am. But yeah, I'm kidding. I'm like only like 5% serious. But that 5% serious is still like 0 because I was like, all right. But yeah, I was like, maybe it just like wasn't like, So anyway, I'm back. I wasn't feeling well. Honestly, I slept. I got a good amount of rest. The video, there was no sound, so you don't know. God of War Ragnarok came out. I'm pretty sure I only mentioned it in that video. I don't think I've been live. Wait. Oh. How are you doing, Sandra? Did I ask you? I don't think I've been live in a hot second. Like, I think that one video was it. So anyway, God of War Ragnarok came out recently. Yeah, no, it's been a week. Okay, yeah. So God of War Ragnarok came out recently. I was playing I got sick at a convenient time because it was like the day the game came out, and I was like, I'm gonna call in today. But then I didn't even play that much. I've played like 5 hours of the game. I know Reem is also like playing it, so usually I like to like talk to Reem about. I love talking to Reem about like anything, honestly. But I'm like, I'm not that far into the game, and I don't want to get it spoiled. So I can't even talk about the game. But anyway, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point, kind of. But like I said, I mentioned it in the video, and then it didn't upload. So, thank you. Yeah. Who is this? Is that the Wheel of Fortune? Yeah, it's the wheel. There you go. So anyway, before I got sick, it was after the day after the eclipse. Oh snap! It's a Rob Odinson. I'll have you know, Rob Odinson, that every time I boot up my computer, my Battle.net launcher launches, and I always look to see if I see you on the side. I think I've seen you once or twice. I'm like, man, I want to play Diablo with Rob. I haven't, like the last time we played together, I think was the last time I played. I don't know, like when 4 is coming out. Oh, the 6 of Pentacles. Hold up. Okay. Oh, that's the card I'm looking for. It's fine. I'm not ready yet. Oh, snap. Hold up. Ace of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, Knight of Swords. What was Justice? The King of Cups? Queen of Cups? Hold up. What I was what I was on the table? I'm like, wow, that's some really good cards. The energy has been amazing. It's been wait, what? Really? Oh wow. See, I used to be like so up on all of the video game news, like literally everything. It's been a long time since that was the truth, but are you sure? Hopefully, I mean, I hope it is out, but I hope it isn't out because I haven't heard anything about it. And I feel like usually I hear something, you know what I mean? So to not hear anything, I'm like, oof, Diablo. Wait, or is it the beta? Okay. A 2023 release is announced, but it looks like it might have been in beta, maybe. I don't know. I am not sure. I am not sure. The good news is that now, like, my job is basically already over. But my job is going to be like over either Friday or Monday. So I'm going to not be working a lot of hours. I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands. There are some things like Scorpio season has been wild. I feel like for me personally, Scorpio started this season very, 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 very like quick and intense. And then after, because I think it was kind of sort of already slowing down by the time we hit the solar eclipse. And then that in between period between the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse was interesting. Well, the solar eclipse happened so early in the season. But like after the lunar eclipse, I feel like it like slowed down and then I got sick. And I spent like 5 days just like catching up on rest, watching some videos, just like living the life that I miss. Honestly, where I can just like be and not have to work. Ooh, it was nice. It was a much needed break. Oh, it's fine. For me, it's fine because I already knew like so like the beginning of February, end of January for me was just like I don't want this. Like I'm done. And I was like, it was all of these other things that I would rather do. I watch these back sometimes and you can't even see my eyes because it's so pure white screen. Um, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then, like a week later, that's when we got the announcement. Because, like, although I knew I didn't want this is a thing that I've noticed about me, and I think I've mentioned it before. But it's something I've noticed about me, especially recently ish, is that like so I was like, I know I don't want this job anymore, but we're kind of like understaffed and I don't want to leave and leave the other person or anybody else in a bind. So I'm gonna stay here. Like there have been quite a few situations in my life where it's like the majority of me knows that I'm ready to move on, but it's like I don't want to leave because of this person or I don't want to do this because of that, so like I'll stick it out. Now what happens since I'm like I don't want to go most of the time is a tower moment will happen and then I'll have to leave. So but it works out for me. um but but yeah, so I'm actually excited. I'm like I was talking to Reem briefly the other day and like times are just interesting, I guess. I am like Saturn is direct now. So I'm heading towards my third and final Saturn exact conjunction. And it's just like, I don't know, life is like, it's really interesting right now. Um, so like one day, I'll just be somewhere. I'm a weirdo. Y'all know that by now. I'm a weirdo. So it was just like, I don't even know what I was doing. Like one day I was like, thank you for blah 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 blah. And then the next day there's a reading, there's a message, and it's like da 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 da. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, anyway, it was just like, I don't remember what I was doing, but like there's a lot of good things happening. The ending of this job is one of them. The coming of the next job is another one that I'm like oddly excited for. I know I'm all over the place right now, but this is also me. Like y'all know me by now. If you don't know me, then hi, welcome. If you don't like me, bye. Life is too short to watch people that you don't really like, right? So anyway, I don't know, but like it's just I can feel the energy of everything like coming in, and then Saturn was just like, "Bet you're glad for your Saturn return, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." Because as difficult as the past year of my life has been, it's been exactly what I've needed to liberate myself in ways that make me more open and more available to the everything that I want. Um, and it was difficult at every step. It was a choice at every turn that I made to keep moving, to work through something, to let something go. And without those experiences, I wouldn't be heading where I'm heading now. So I'm glad for it. I'm grateful for it. That's why I can say thank you for the opportunities coming rather than self sabotaging, hitting a dark night, and then like running away, self sabotaging, hitting a dark night, feeling even worse, and blah blah blah. Like anyway, it's been quite a year, but again, like I don't know. Every step along the way, I could just tell. Number one, I could tell that like there was a purpose and there was a reason. Is this the Emperor at the bottom of the deck for everything? And secondly, it was just like I literally lived so much of my life. I'm only 29. I lived at least 25 years of my life letting fear dictate all of my choices and decisions, passing up amazing opportunities to do things that I worked hard for, just like for a fear to come in and then I let it go. And when I had my darkest night, I was like, I can't keep doing that. Yeah, the Emperor at the bottom of the deck. But anyway, Saturn was like, bet you're glad I was hard on you, aren't you? And I'm like, yes, I am. Thank you. But also, too, like, oh, the Emperor and the Six of Swords. Let's go. Excuse me. Also, too, like, what? I started my journey really consciously like 2019. So it was like 2 years before my Saturn return. So I had time to prepare for it. And there were like, when I was like getting into astrology and stuff like that, people would be like, they would look at like how old I was or whatever. And they're like, oh, like you'll be hitting your Saturn return in a few years. I was like, I heard enough. I was like, okay, I need to get ready. Because if I get rocked by Saturn, at least like I want to come out better on the other side of it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna have to go through towers and difficulties and challenges regardless, like at least I want to be able to Rocky Balboa by the end of it. A little Six of Wands energy. There's that Wheel of Fortune again with the King of Wands. Kirsty! Hey! But yeah, so that was that. Um, what else happened? I don't know. Anytime I'm like, I think about like the energies, or anytime I notice something sort of like trending, I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what this channel is going to become because I feel like I've already said everything that I can say. I feel like I've already sat to receive anything I have to receive to relay or communicate or share. Like, so the reason why I'm here today is um, it was the day after the lunar eclipse. It was actually probably the day of the lunar eclipse because it happened early in the morning here. But like I got off work and the moon was still pretty low in the sky and it was like golden. I was like, oh, okay. And then after I made it home, the moon was higher in the sky and it was like less yellow. So I'm assuming like it escaped that shadow period that kind of gave it some kind of color. And I was like, oh, like what golden decks do I have? Something about this golden energy feels like this golden egg in the sky. Oh, golden egg, duh. Why didn't I think of that? We're gonna grab that deck too. Like I wonder like what's going on. So the only golden deck I have right now, I almost got the Rider Waite Smith one, the one that's like gold, but I didn't. I put that one back because I already had like four other decks. So the only one I think I have right now is the Tarot Nefertari, Nine of Swords, and Judgment. Nine of Swords, Judgment, Nine of Cups. What's interesting about this Nine of Swords and Judgment card is like it's that the red and the gold, like lunar eclipse red, post lunar eclipse gold. But on the other side of that Judgment is this Nine of Chalices. And she's looking in the complete opposite direction, and she's not in the sarcophagus anymore. And then there's the Eight of Wands behind it. The Eight of Wands is on, like, I'm seeing the Eight of Wands everywhere. Eight of Wands is just like in energy right now. Honestly. So, yes, that's why I'm using this. And then when I was at work today, because, you know, I'm going to read this the way that I always read. Not always, but, you know, it's a Patrick style of reading, I guess, where I look, if I feel an energy, I look for the card, and then I look before and after that card to see, like, what the energy around the energy looks like. But instead of keeping it out on the table, I'm going to put it back into the deck, reshuffle it, and do it all over again. So I want to do it 3 times. So I'm giving this a nice shuffle now. I'll look before and after the moon because it's the moon in my golden deck. And then I'll do it 2 more times. I was going to use a smaller deck and then pull before and after the cards that come before and after the moon to clarify it. But that's a lot of cards, and that'll be a minute, and I don't know how long I'm trying to be on here. So I've also realized in some ways, so there are cycles and there are seasons, and we're coming upon a new season and a new cycle of life for my life. I can speak for me. I can't speak for anybody else. For everybody else, it feels like it's a possibility, but it also like feels like, at least from Patrick's vantage point, that choice and decision is so key, and these potentialities becoming reality. Um, for various reasons. For me personally, like I said, there are so many things that I had to face just to be in a position to make the choices that I'm making, to be in the position to receive the things that I'm receiving. And that's just because of how my trauma brain was before my darkest night. Like I've talked about it before. I talked about it, I think the last time I was live, or not the last, I've talked about it recently. How happiness, like being happy, was literally one of my biggest triggers. And with the everything that I want, you could probably imagine that happiness is included in that. So that's another gift that Scorpio gave me. The mother of all triggers. I was like, no. um, oh, bone. That's what I'm looking for with the bears coming out of hibernation. Anyway, I love Scorpio. See, y'all, I always talk about how much I love Scorpio. Don't tell Cancer, but if I had to pick a water trying to be my favorite, it would be Scorpio. Also, I'm biased because my descendant is in Scorpio, so I am astrologically predispositioned to love Scorpio energy. Um, and I do. But when this season started, I was like, oh my gosh, Scorpio. My mantra was, I'm a Pisces, I can handle it. I'm a Pisces, I can handle it. But again, like, and I don't know if it's because everything is so energetically close. Like, it's so palpable, the potentiality that's blossoming into reality. Or if it's that, like, or if it's things that I've picked up along my journey that help me to understand when there are ways that I'm being challenged because of the possibilities, opportunities, the roads and pathways that will open up with the resolution of those challenges. Or if it's was a combination of both of them. But like it felt like I was being scrubbed. Like Scorpio put me in the wash bin, had me on the wash rack, and was like, I would come up for air and then it would put me back down and scrub me. But like that was the Ten of Swords in the SKT that I read recently. There was the drum of light and the drum of dark, and it was like the darkness does this and the light does that, and there's a purification process happening to make the vessel capable of holding more light. To prepare one to receive a divine gift, the process had to happen, both in light and in shadow. And then Scorpio season came in and showed me exactly what it was talking about. And again, that was a Ten of Swords energy, so it's not necessarily easy, but like for me, I'm in my Saturn return, so I don't, I didn't expect it to be easy. I did expect it to be navigable. I expected myself to not get completely just like washed out because I was like, I'm doing a lot of work, but still, girl. Anyway, Scorpios are abundant in your world. I don't even know if I know that many Scorpios, honestly. I know a few Halloween Scorpios, like people born on Halloween. Um, honestly, though, because like one of the Halloween Scorpios, she was my saving grace in this one class I took. She is the reason why I remained sane. And I didn't even know she was a Scorpio. Owl. Oh, the owls. Those were the watchers. What you looking at? The crow. The owl, the crow, and the snake. And then the elephant is behind that. I've also been watching a few animal videos because they're popping up on my YouTube feed right now. And like the memory of the memory of some animals, it's like if like it's the bulls, or not the bulls, the y'all know, in the jungle, it's the lions, and then the charging ones, the ones that killed Mufasa because they were stampeding. Um, they were like, they'll remember faces. And if one of their relatives get poached, they'll go back and they'll find the person that like killed their relative and they'll mess them up. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it was talking about elephants and like how like emotionally intelligent they are and how just like intelligent they are. And they were like, if an elephant comes and does something, they're doing it for a reason. I'm like, oof. Yeah. And they were talking about yeah, well, some of the birds they were talking about, some of the birds just mess with everybody. It was some bird, and it's like the Australian magpie or something like that with the hooked beak, just like. And then they were talking about kangaroos and how a certain number of vehicular accidents in Australia are caused by kangaroos. And this person was driving, and a kangaroo like came up on the road, and then it just like jumped at the car and kicked the windshield. I'm like, oh my gosh. But that's just Mother Nature reminding us of our place on this planet. You know, even the animals know we ain't at the top of the food chain. The cosmic egg and the cheetah. But anyway, yeah. And they were like, for 6 weeks out of the year, it's like swooping season. It's like they will swoop on you if you get close to the nest. And so it was like in the video, there was this kid riding a bike with a helmet. And so they were like, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's also very true. So that's one reason why I'm a little hesitant about Australia, but it'll happen. It'll happen in its time. But yeah, so anyway, there's a new season and a new cycle, and the energy of that is ramping up, and the energy of the season that I'm in is slowing down. That includes work, right? And I realize that there is something for me to do in this in between period as this one is still de escalating and as this one is ramping up. But I guess I don't know why I'm doing it this way. But anyway, I was like, oh, like this is something I need to do. And I made a call to the universe. I was like, listen, if we're about to do this, I need to know that we're about to do this. And then the next day, the universe was like, okay, we're doing this. Are you ready? And I'm like, yeah, I am. Sorry, so for speaking so strongly, but yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this. But anyway, I don't know. But like I was telling Reem, it's like I never, and I've talked about it on this. It's been a hot minute. I feel like since I've been so viscerally in those emotions because I haven't had time for emotions lately. Call me Capricorn. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. Um, but like I said, like the first 25 years of my life were pure misery. Like I had like my future, my plan was to not turn 25. Um, so things happened in my 24th year, so that by the time I turned 25, I was like, okay. Um, but have I moved or has Holly moved? Oh yeah, because Holly was like looking. Yeah, yeah, I forgot Holly was moving. Hey Holly, how you doing? Um, but like for the first time, I'm like excited about the future. I'm like really excited about the future. And like my relationship with the future is completely changed. In no small part because of again this year. So Saturn is as difficult as Saturn is, it is it's been a gift. Hey, congratulations, Holly. Glad to hear it. That's Six of Swords again. Six of Swords and the Emperor again. Again, they're at the cut. In the same position, too. Emperor at the bottom, Six of Swords at the cut. And I've been shuffling this thing like crazy. Um, but I had a dream the other day. This is just something that I personally found interesting. I don't know nothing about nothing. I don't know nothing about nobody. But I had a dream the other day that led me down a wormhole to like Babylonian astrology. And in like Babylonian astrology, Jupiter, the planetary ruler, like the deity associated with Jupiter, is Marduk. And I don't know nothing about Marduk besides what I've heard about Marduk, but I was like, that makes sense. That checks out. But anyway. Oh my gosh, it's the rare gazelle. Girl, how you been? Hi, hello. I was literally just talking with you. Reem is back, y'all. I mean, y'all already know that. If you're over here, you already know. You know Reem, you know Rob, you know y'all know each other. We all know it. Everybody know everybody. How are you doing? Yeah, yeah. Because I was like, I had this dream a while ago, and I was looking through my dream journal randomly one day, and you posted a reading. It might have been the Taurus reading. It could have been another one. It wasn't one of the recent ones, but it wasn't that long ago either. And you were like, if there's like somebody that like you feel like you should reach out to them. So I had a dream, and I read it in my journal, and I was talking about meeting this woman in my dream, and I was like, wait, is this Reem? And I didn't tell you about that dream because I'm like, but yeah, anyway, it led me down a rabbit hole, and it said Jupiter equals Marduk. I was like, oh my, what? But with all the like, oh, Jupiter is like the greatest benefic. Jupiter is so great. With all this instant gratification, don't nobody want to work for nothing. We just want everything. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, so that we don't bite the hand that feeds us or whatever. But anyway, hold up, wait, what? To watch? Oh yeah, I was like, hold up, Reem uploaded Scorpio. So wait, so you recorded Scorpio? Wait, no, Virgo is the one that you're recording tomorrow and then uploading the next day, right? Yeah, that's Virgo. That had like the full page of things with like the scribbles and everything. Okay. I'm on the community post too. I'm like, Rain's back. Rob uploaded like half of a zodiac. I'm like, okay, okay, yeah. And then I was like, oh well, let me go live before I settle in and start watching all these videos. um, but yeah, that dream. So the dream that led me down like the rabbit hole was not that extreme. It was like Google, boom. But that's actually the same dream that I had when I was walking through the Lost Woods or whatever. And I was like, I already know where I'm going, so I don't have to freak out. It's like, it'll be this first right. But then there was something I heard behind me, and I knew that nothing was behind me. But I turned around and I looked anyway. Excuse me, I turned around and I looked anyway. And it's like, if you turn around in the forest, that's when it'll change. So I was like, the route that I knew to get me where I wanted to go, it's already changed. So I might as well just run at this point. And when my intuition says turn left, turn right, that's where I'll turn. Because there's no point in me trying to figure it out. Like, I'm not going to figure it out. I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to trust that when it comes time to turn, something in me will know. I woke up before I had to make that turn. I woke up running, but anyway, yeah. A beautiful turd. What? Yeah, with all those like the fadey whooshy. I don't know why whooshy. Like nothing is necessarily whooshy, but that ghost was on the Halloween video with Skeleton Rob. I remember that. It would fade in and out. Rob's really working the tech over there. But anyway, I feel like I had a. I feel like I almost remembered my dream from last night. There's been like this string of really interesting dreams that honestly, like, I don't record my dreams anymore. I feel like I don't really interact with dream as much as I used to. Probably for a hot second because of work, honestly. I wake up, I don't want to wake up. I wake up, I still don't want to wake up. I wake up, I don't want to wake up, but I get up and then I get ready and then I go to work and then I come home and it's all whatever. So, so yeah. There was something, there was something in the Diablo deck too. I almost wish, I mean, I do wish I was there live because there was something that I caught and I was like, I know, right? But like, I'm so bad because I'll have like these really almost weird, almost profound dreams. Um, and then I just like, I go to work and it's like, okay, I don't really dig into it. I also think I'll love it. I might just go ahead and order it. I probably will. As I pull up my phone and order it right now. I'll order it after this. There were a few things in there. I was like, oh, like I don't know. I mean, I have so many decks now. I never know how I'm gonna use any deck. I just do. But I love it. That's something that I kind of want to get more into. Get more into the artistry of the cards and oh, darn it, and specific interpretations and stuff like that. Come on. Also, there's like so many decks I want to use that I have. I'm like, I want to use this deck. I want to use that deck. I want to find these cards that just went flying. Come on. Also, I'm out of alcohol. I drank my last Mike's Hard Lemonade, I think last night. Oh, how did this go inside the cup? Really? Is this the only card that fell? I feel like it was a few. I'm gonna have to count these. 1 second. Also, you can see my telescope that I put on upside down, right there, because my dad took it off and then I put it back on upside down. The Hermit. The Hermit flew out of the deck and went inside of this cup. I'm like, okay. I mean, we would be if I had some Reams in the house. The Hermit and Justice. 8 and 9. Interesting. Interesting. Friends don't let friends drink and read. What? Those aren't the kind of friends that I want. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80. So I think I have all the cards. I think there's 2 title cards in this deck. Right? The Empress. For all of the Emperor I've been seeing, there's the Empress at the bottom of it all. Slurred words, and this is the Queen. I feel like, what's the saying? And we know in E-Ray in childhood, veritas est, and wine and anger, and in childhood, there is always truth. So the alcohol helps to get to the truth of the message that's trying to be communicated through the cards. Right? Oracles had their cave smoke. I have alcohol. I'm kidding. It's not for everyone. You know, some people are. We all have our own paths, our own different journeys, our own ways of connection, and you know. What? Oh, Kirsty. I thought that was Rob for a second. You know. Wait, what? Okay, so it's been 40 minutes. Not that I don't love just chatting, because I do. Honestly, I'm like, I miss the times where I just go live and chat. Like, it doesn't always have to be this 5-hour thing where I'm just like not even really paying attention to the chat. You know what I mean? But she could. It would be Virgo, Hermit. I want to see what's before and after the golden egg. So, the earthworm at the bottom with the elk and the crow. And then the snake. So I'm looking, I have the one golden deck I have. I'm going to look before and after the moon 3 times, because on the day, the night, so the full moon lunar eclipse happened early in the morning. That night, the moon was still golden while it was like low in the sky. So that's why I'm looking for the moon in my golden deck. And then I was like, blah, 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 talk, golden egg. So I pulled this deck. And this is interesting for that golden egg energy, because it feels like this is inside of the egg. But anyway, I'm going to try to. We're going to look and see what's before and after. There's elephant. Crow and elephant are together again. Crow, snake, elephant, turtle. I also want to it's fine. Let me find this golden egg. So this is gate. Was this gate 7 or gate 6? This was gate 6, I think, because gate 5 was with Goddess Aya, giving us the breakdown of the cosmological origins of human beings. I think gate 6 was the one that I did with Reem, and then she did gate 7. I love how I'm always coming back to these gates. But the black egg with the lion. The black egg came out recently in one of your videos too. But the black egg for me is the rare gazelle. It's the power of authenticity. It's like your true voice. And then there's the lion here. Is the lion Zubaba? I don't remember. Because there was a lion and an eagle and a whole bunch of other animals. So anyway, after that is the dragonfly, and then the golden egg, and then the butterfly. But I thought it was interesting that it was black egg, dragonfly, golden egg, and then the lion before the black egg felt like it was also a part of that. So we'll put you there. Dragonfly, golden egg, and then butterfly. And one of his videos recently, it might have been the Pisces piece of one of those videos. Russ talked about the dragonfly. I'm pretty sure it was Pisces, born at the bottom of the water, and then when they come to maturity, they make that transition. So we have two cards of transition around the golden head. One of them starts in the water, the other one starts in a tree. Air, spirit, air, spirit. Or spirit, air, spirit. Ether, air, ether. This is interesting. I don't know. Maybe I should just like keep shuffling and just talking because I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Like I kind of do, but at the same time, I was enjoying the vibe. Like when Reem came back for Aries. When Reem did Aries, I was like, hmm, something is like different. Something is more, you know, is that a something is more like empressy, I guess, or emperor. I don't even know. Like, I don't even want to necessarily like gender it because I don't think it's gendered. It's just more. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, yeah. There you go. Weren't you? Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that. It feels like there's like a synchronized metamorphosis happening. Who's at the top of the deck since I pulled from the? Oh, it's the. No, I don't know. It's two. Cheetah, Phoenix, Sea Serpent. Oh snap! Ah, Reem! So this was the top of the deck because I pulled from the bottom, right? The cheetah, the phoenix, the sea serpent, the cosmic egg, and the gazelle. The gazelle after the cosmic egg. So I had to pull that too. Oh my gosh! Fire, ether, 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 fire. Oh snap! There's a lot of like spiritual energy. That's what this was, right? Something is going on with the element of fire and ether, but like it feels like it's not like it makes sense. It feels like, well, I don't know, because water would also be pretty close. Um, and I know, I think the last altar before the lunar eclipse was the altar of indignant rage. And there was something that came up in one of the readings I did where the energy of that altar came up, but it was like channeled in a way. that wasn't indignant rage necessarily. It was whatever is going on in the ether. Because, like, that fire is close to spirit, the energy of spirit. And maybe there's a form of all elements that draws closer to the energy of ether. If they all descend from ether, that would make sense. That there's something within that realm, within that domain, that is very close. But then, like, humanness can come in and distort it. But it just like it reads or feels more like it's like having a lot of energy built up behind something. It's like if you take a spring and you wind it super, super, super tight, the slightest thing can like set it off in any direction. And that humanness, the ego is like, it's really easy to like, as soon as you get that close, to shoot off somewhere else rather than like sort of stay there or compress even further into it. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't ask me. So we're gonna get another shuffle. But yeah, with the dragonfly and the butterfly around this golden egg, it feels like, excuse me, it's a synchronized. I had something for butterfly. I don't remember what it is now. But going back to this lion, this is a very powerful energy. This is the coiled spring. This is the coiled spring. Because the lion isn't speaking, the lion isn't roaring, the lion in all of its power and all of the very like almost shadow, but not necessarily shadow of Leo, like in all that we see the lion as. This lion doesn't have anything to prove to anyone. This lion doesn't have to exert power to be in power. And that's something that came out. It might have been, I think it was for Capricorn the last time I read all signs. And I think it came out for another sign too. Because there was something I saw on YouTube that was like how power is bittersweet or whatever, but like there is nothing bitter about power. Again, that's the humanness, that's ego that comes in and gets us to exert that power over other people so that other people know that we're powerful. But it's like if you're truly powerful, like you don't have to do that. That's when it reads like compensating for something. And this does like it has nothing to compensate for. All of the times that the emperor was at the bottom of the deck and then the empress the last time, there's nothing that they have to compensate for. They're emperors and empresses. Like they have entire empires to manage and to be the figurehead and decision maker for. Like they don't, I don't know. Interesting. So, what the moon look like in this deck? It's number 18. Let's see what this first moon gives us. But yeah, I got to rest a lot, so it wasn't as bad as it could be. I didn't get to play. I was talking about in the video that I uploaded with no sound, I was talking about how God of War Ragnarok came out, and I know Reem is playing it, but it wasn't no sound. So, no spoilers, Reem. I'm not that far in the game. Yeah, there are two title cards. Where's the moon? I'm pulling from the bottom of the deck, so this means that the moon is like close to the top. Hello? Oh my gosh, look. Literally the top three cards. This is the moon right here. I went through the entire bottom of the deck. Yeah, I went through the entire deck. And the moon is sandwiched in between two fives. Five is a number of change. Here we have two. It's the end result of these metamorphological processes. It's the five of wands and the five of swords. It's the two masculine fives. One interesting thing that I've noticed is that I hear a lot of people talk about the five of swords as defeat. And I know that like that's one of the I'm gonna shuffle the deck and then I'm gonna put the moon back inside. Also, look at this. Hold up. I kind of I kind of love this energy. This to me feels like it speaks to the extremes of both of these. Like on the dark side, it's like this five of swords energy. On the light side, it's this five of wands energy. Like conflict, it's a conflict that requires the participation of both sides to sustain itself. I would almost say it's a non-existent conflict, and like it does, but it doesn't. I don't need to get all the way into it. Wait, Rob's been playing Ragnarok? Oh, maybe I should stream. I feel like I'm not as bad all the time, but I'm like I'll be playing Ragnarok and it'll be like, oh, like let's talk. Anytime you're in the boat, they're like, oh, let's talk about this story about Thor or this whatever. I'd be like, all right, yeah, let's talk about it. How Thor went in, hammer blazing, killed everybody, fueling all of the animals. See, this is literally the Aesir and the giants because the giants are literally just trying to exist. Odin comes in, kills one of them, and now his kids are out here killing the rest of them. And then you got Loki, blood brother of Odin, caught in the middle, like, bro, like, I'm part giant. Like, I am a giant. Like, what? You're putting me in the middle of all this. Loki's like, well, I guess if I gotta pick a side, then I'm gonna go with the side that is causing less less havoc. But anyway, I was playing God of War, and I thought because you had the frost giants and then you had the fire giants, and I was like, oh, like Kratos has the powers of both fire and ice in this game. And I don't want to spoil anything else if you haven't played the first God of War, which is technically like the fourth God of War. But anyway. So yeah, when I'm playing like when I was playing the first one, because the first God of War is what solidified the Freya Odin Frigg thing for me, and how they did Freya and Frigg feels like it resonates with me. So anyway, but yeah, anyway, I'm getting lost on all these tangents. Oh, the Five of Swords. Like that like for me is interesting because every time I've seen the Five of Swords card, when I look at the Five of Swords, I'm like this is who I see whatever I'm reading as. And it seems like this is what some other people sort of see it as. And I've been hearing a lot of like the Five of Swords as defeat recently, but I've never like for me the Five of Swords it's an energy of like doing way too much. It's overkill. Again, because I've always sort of projected the space of the person as this one. And so it's like, whoa, like what are you doing? You're doing way too much. Rather than like this one, the one who's defeated and walking away with their head held low. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just something that I noticed recently because I guess I've been seeing a lot of the Five of Swords. Five of Swords, Eight of Wands, Tetris, ooh, Pac-Man, Pong. They made like a I just saw something. They were like they made an artificial brain or something, and it learned how to play Pong or something like that. I don't know. My Starbucks green drink is almost gone. So this first moon is the Five of Swords and the Five of Wands. Another thing about this is in the Mystic Mondays, the Hierophant is a temple with like a third eye over it. So for me, like this is moon energy, Hierophant energy, but the moon is sitting in between these two. Excuse me. It's leaning a little closer to the dark. No, it looks like it might be leaning a little closer to the dark side. But the moon is sitting in between both of these. And I mean, a lot of times, there are three sides to an argument: this side, that side, and then the truth. It's funny because Bayonetta 3 is another. Like, I just got Bayonetta. I didn't even get to beat Bayonetta before God of War Ragnarok came out. I have too many games that I want to beat. And I don't feel like playing video games too much right now. So, because now I'm like, I want to catch up on my Netflix shows. It's a good problem to have. Free time. So, anyway, there was this whole drama going on with the game. And it turns out the one person lied. And I just found out I'd send a message to my brother. I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah. He was like, I'm not invested because both sides are lying. So he was like, I don't know what the truth is. Both sides are lying. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. And it feels like it's because of how we characterize the relationship between these two that there is no in between. And that's why both are in this combative energy. But the chariot will tell us it's not this or that, it's actually both. So I'm going to pull another deck and we're going to look at the chariot to see the resolution of this, or to see what the truth of this energy could be. I don't know what deck I'm going to pull though. I kind of want to use one I have nearby, but also don't. So when they added too many buttons to the controller, yeah. The Pisces in me, like video games was my vice of choice back in the day. I got addicted to World of Warcraft like 2 or 3 times. Not well, the first time I got addicted to World of Warcraft, it was because I loved it. Um, some of those other times I got addicted to World of Warcraft was because life. So, but that's something that I realized. It's like a reality that I confronted in 2018. Around the time of my darkest night, it's like I would play video games even though I didn't want to play video games, just to like occupy my mind. But you're still playing WoW for real? Cause like I just like every time I boot up my computer, the battle.net launcher launches and they're like pre-order the game, like pre-purchase the game to play this new class early. And they got like there's a class of it's like Draco Ether or something like that. I'm like, they got a class of dragons? You can play as dragons in WoW now. Like it might be time to go back. It might be time to go back for Dragonflight. I don't know. Yeah, they did. And like Lich King is where I got like um well, I got into it at Burning Crusades. But when Lich King came out, that's when I had like a max level character and I was doing in-game content. I had a guild I was raiding with. That like Lich King was the best for me. Like the Death Knight had just released. It was like the first hero class. I'm like, oh my gosh. Are you really? Wait, when did you get back in a while? I I got Battle for Azeroth, but I didn't get that far into it. Oh, snap. Well, you trying to make a guild? Everybody get on WoW. Reem's gonna be the guild leader. Like Saturday night raids. Let's go. Oh, no. Rob. Rob, wow. Well, I played Alliance, so I can't make it work. What deck am I using? Oh, I want to use the Tarot of the Abyss, but sometimes the imagery is too much. Like, I love it, but sometimes I'm like, what does this mean? You know what I mean? Excuse me. I'm burned on words with friends because I played with a Scorpio who was making up words. I was like, these words ain't even words. A million points for a made up word. I'm just playing. Ooh, love that. Love that. We all have our part to play, you know? But yeah, like, I feel like WoW, like, because one of the things, so the first guild that I got into was like family run. Like the guild leader and his wife, and then like their parents played, and then it was like other people. And so it was a very like non-competitive environment. And then like they had some friends who would like do more competitive in-game content, and so everything was like about the numbers. Me too. Everything was about the numbers, and it was such a different rating experience because like I played a hunter, and a hunter is like a ranger, if like, you know, bow and arrow, you get a pet. um and so like it's a class that deals damage, and so when I would raid competitively, it's like, oh, like your DPS is kind of like, my DPS was always I had decent DPS. Like it wasn't the top. If I wasn't raiding with like top people, then like I was pretty high. If I was a little lower because, you know, my rotation isn't the tightest or whatever. um so what, are you serious? Why? Hunters are amazing. Right, I'm so I like, I can't even watch my own health bar. So and I'm the type of person where it's like, so when I did heal, it was pug groups, pickup groups, and I would queue as healer, and like I would always get that tank or that DP, like who was impatient. And if my mana is low, I'm like, I'm gonna sit here and recover my mana. You can go out and pull aggro and die if you want to, but if I ain't got no mana, I can't keep you alive. So if I'm telling you I need some mana, let me get my mana, or don't take so much damage you die, and then don't get mad at me. I just let them go though. I'm like, if you want to die, be my guest. Go ahead. I'm gonna sit back here and recover. Have fun. I was like petty. I was like a petty healer. I'm like, I'm not gonna be back here stressing myself out because I can't keep y'all up because I started the fight with like 10% mana because y'all don't know how to slow down. Hello? No, no, no. But anyway, so I was rating like with the competitive people, it was all about the numbers. But with the non-competitive, like home guild, it was more cooperative. So like if the healer picked up aggro, she'd be like, my name was like Flamal or whatever. She'd be like they'd be like Flam, like, there's aggro on the healer, like go and get the aggro. Or like I would kite mobs or whatever. Like I would do more than just deal damage. And in doing that, not only did it make it like more, I mean, I don't know if more fun is necessarily like the word because both experiences had their joys. Um, but like hunters get a lot of utility. And so to like get to use that utility in the group setting, it was a nice change. It taught me cooperation in a way that's not about topping the charts because if you're top DPS but everybody dies, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like if I'm like, oh, I can't get aggro off of heals because I got to do damage. I need my numbers, and then the healer dies. If the healer goes down, we all go down. What's the point? And so that's another reason why my numbers would be lower when I rated competitively. Because I'm like, if something is on the healer, I'm going to take it off of the healer. You can, like, because they have an attack that gets aggro. So I can get the aggro, move next to the tank so that the tank doesn't have to drag the boss into the middle of the group and everybody dies. Like, you can ferry the aggro to the person who collects it, and it makes the whole process a lot smoother. And, like, Lich King was when I had both of those experiences simultaneously. Now, when I had to raid competitively, so that like I knew the fights and stuff, so that by the time I ran it with like my home guild, like we had people who actually knew how to do whatever. So I learned a lot competitively, but I don't know. It just I like that experience more. It just felt more. I don't know. And then dude would be like, "Oh yeah, like I'm topping the charts," and it's like, okay, but like you're literally. But at the same time, somebody does have to do the damage because the tanks can only take so many hits. The healers only have so much mana, and sometimes you're fighting a boss with a rage timer. And so if you don't beat that boss in 5 minutes, no one is going to survive. No one is going to live because it's about to do 100 times as much damage, or it has this move that will instantly KO the entire party. So don't get me wrong. DPS is also important. Someone has to whittle down that health to zero. But anyway. I'll have to watch it back like the rage timer. Not the rage timer, no. But also too, like I feel like some of my favorite moments of raiding were like wiping. Some of the wipes was just like wipe after wipe after wipe. It's like, yeah, I'm like, man, I miss it so much. It was so fun. It was so fun. Khloe Kardashian coming to a server near you. Woo, man. I don't know, but I feel like some people get mad, but I mean, there does come a point, especially when you get like if you get the boss down to like 5% health, especially like if you wipe a lot and then you get the boss down and you're like, we're literally like 2 seconds of DPS from taking this thing down, and then you wipe. It's both funny and like soul crushing at the same time. Like, but when you finally down a boss, like I miss it. I want to go back so bad, but like my guild is inactive. And so like when the new expansions come out, I would go back and then like my friends list would be full for like a few days. And then everybody else would, I mean, I would stop playing too because without a guild, it's not the same. But If we all migrate to the same server and play together, then yeah, like it's so sad. That's why like I haven't gotten Dragonflight. I think there was another expansion after Battle for Azeroth, but maybe it wasn't. Cause like I got back on and like none of my friends were on there. My guild isn't active. I'm like, this it's heartbreaking. It's like it's not what it used to be. But I mean, Reem is already on there, so I mean, what server are you playing on, girl? Cause I might renew. We can. Let's do it. Let's take over. Wow. Wow. The trauma of the rage time. I really like. I gotta watch it back now. But yeah, that's like it's. It was just. I don't know. It was such an experience. Like going from competitive to cooperative. Rob. Excuse me. I could use my mini witches tarot. That's gonna be our guild name. Let's go. He'll be the guild master, the GM. The people who would like join guilds, like raid the guild bank and then quit. I'm like, oh my gosh. There was this person on my server called like Golden Lock or something like that. Golden Locks, who was like ninja looter. Like famous ninja looter. Like it was end game for one of the expansions. Like end game level is so high now. You can go back to like end game of like vanilla or Burning Crusades or whatever, and you can do like those super hard 40-person raids with like not a whole group of 40. And people just be like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, like whatever. And you reply to join, you go through the whole 40-person raid. Not even really having to pay attention to all the mechanics because you're just so like past that level. And then like you'll down the last boss and then they'll kick everybody and then keep the loot for themselves. And it's like, wow. That happened to me a few times. I think I actually got in a group with Golden Lock before. And I was like, oh snap. I'm like, that is so no. And then there was the person who would like top the charts in DPS. He was also a hunter. Like we're in here running these raids, and like something will drop that he didn't even need, but it's like he would have, like he would win it or whatever, and then like it was me and this other hunter, and he was like, "Oh, I already have a better bow. Like, does one of you want this?" And we're both like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, who's gonna pay me more gold for it?" And I'm like, "I'm in here so that I don't have to pay gold for like stuff. Like I'm not at the auction house. Like he can have it. Like just give it to him. I'm not about to. No, I'm not. No." His name was Yoshi. He was kind of decent, but anyway. Go to the trade chat and be like, tell everybody, do not run with these people, these ninja looters. It's like, and I feel like one of them, especially like if it's like a mount or something, like one of the rare drops, and then like it drops, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then you get hit with a kick, and it's like, that's why you got to look at the loot rules, check the loot rules before you go. So anyway, I think it's time I return to my origins, to my roots as a gamer. I think it's been long. The cataracts are removed. I can actually play games again. Can we get a card for the Ninja Looters? Let's just get one card for the Ninja Looters. Oh. Ooh! The Devil. The deck said it. It wasn't me. Also, like, two cards fell on the floor. So, bottom of the deck is the Magician? No, that's the Ace of Wands. They said that no, it's not about being addicted to WoW. It's that ninja looters are evil and they must be stopped. I'm tired of these cards falling on the floor. Oh, Ace of Wands, Knight of Pentacles. See, they're only in it for themselves. Because the Nine of Pentacles is a card of like, you're good, like you're abundant, screw everybody else. I don't care about nobody else. Like, I'm collecting what I want. They set up, they create, they mastermind, they manipulate these situations. They gaslight us into thinking that we're all going to have a chance at the loot. But really, in reality, they're just building out their own personal exotic collection of hard to get things that they can't get by themselves. So they have to lie and deceive and manipulate other people. They're the devil. The card said it, not me. The card said it, not me. Ooh, there's another card down here somewhere, though. I'm telling you, World of Warcraft will teach you a lot about people. I know like two cards fell down here. And so, like, I was going to use the Runic Tarot with the Crow Tarot because Hunin and Munin, right? Odin's crows. But before I started the video, I saw a wild unknown archetype on the floor, and I was like, "What? Where did this card just like? I haven't used this deck in so long," and it was the heart, and I was like, "Oh." But anyway, that's Three of Pentacles in reverse type energy because they're not actually about that cooperation. Nine of Pentacles is right. They will lie, they will deceive, they will manipulate. Come on. Where's that other card? Reem! I actually found I should use the Dungeons and Dragons tarot. I actually found my World of Warcraft cards. I don't know where they are now. I feel like I've also seen them recently, actually. Because I was going to use those to do a reading, but I don't remember where they are now. I don't know where I put them. Excuse me. Wait, actually, they might be around here somewhere. Um, oh, it's not. I still got this bottle of gin. This Jasmine and Rose gin. This is not a sponsored video, but I do have alcohol, so I will partake. In the cup that I received from Holy Island, that is like for decorative purposes. But not today. Let's go. Pour it up. Pour it up. Pour it up. Pour it up. You have gin in the fridge? Hey, let's go. I actually like that a lot better than the first time I had it. A gnome name. Oof, two alliance, one horde. Oh, where is that card? Was it only one card? I feel like I distinctly remember, or I distinctly recall this. And it's already 10 o'clock. Oh my gosh. It's fine. I distinctly remember the sensation of two cards falling. I feel like I have the wild deck around here somewhere, but I don't. Hold up, wait. Is it? No. I really thought it was down here, but I guess not. I don't know where the other card is. It's fine. Wow! So I was pulling cards for the Ninja Looters, and one of my cards got Ninja Looted. Ninja Looters took one of the cards. Well, there you go. Those are the cards for the Ninja Looters. Now we'll never know what it was. They got what they wanted. They took it and left. I still want to look before and after. I'll just pull the Tarot of the Abyss. We'll at least finish this before I end this. I actually like this Lion card. Um, the Five of Cups is at the top of the deck. 5 wands, 5 cups, 5 swords. I was gonna look. What was I gonna look before and after? Because the truth was in the middle. Was it the Hierophant? No, it wasn't the Hierophant. I don't remember. Does anyone remember? A gnome took the card. Every time I promise. It might be a little fairy in here somewhere. They mess with me. I don't remember what card. It wasn't the Sun. I know that. It wasn't the Hangman. I feel like it was a major arcana. Was it the Hierophant? Maybe it was the Hierophant. 10 of Pentacles. I feel like there's a very 10 of Pentacles in the world. There's a very like gorgeous ambient energy, and then the Emperor is behind that. Why does this feel like something that's like it exchanges hands in secret, right? Like we're not supposed to see whatever they're exchanging. Like it almost feels hidden. The truth is somewhere in between. There's 5 of Swords and 5 of Wands energy. What I like about this is going back to the conflict on this side, conflict on that side. Like there's so much conflict, and like both side has a narrative so strong that it's hard to see what the truth is. But oh god, I'm just shedding cards all over. Hello? 10 of Pentacles just fell on the floor, picked it up in reverse. It just slid right off. It's almost like Lion knows the truth. And it's because it's still Still, not Steal. We're not on the Ninja Looters anymore. It's still enough that it sees what the others sort of miss because they're so wrapped up in it. That's why this black egg is here with the lion. And in that stillness, both sides transform. And that's what reveals like this golden egg. The moon in this card, the golden moon becomes a sun. And then we get clarity in this space. And that's what it's like this super weird synchronized, like this synchronized transformation is so weird because it's almost like, you know how you can have a foil, a holographic foil that has like two images. It's like both things are like shifting and morphing at the same time. It's like if there are two, like if there's a transparent foil and you have to flip both of them to get the truth of the image to come, like that's what's happening. But this, it's like these only transform individually when we sort of allow them to or whatever. And then that's what leads to this fuller realization. So there you go. I didn't even need to go looking in a different deck. So I've been pretty much every race and every class in that game. I've been every class. What's funny is I had a dream last night, I think. I had a dream last night that was very WoW centric. But I booted into the game a random character. And it was like World of Warcraft, but it wasn't. Like I wasn't playing it with like a keyboard. It was like a VR. It was a VR WoW. So I was like in it. Like if you've ever seen like Sword Art Online or one of those, we're stuck inside the game types of medias. It was like that. And I was a priest, but I was trying to be a shadow priest because I was like, I don't want to heal. I don't want to heal. Like I'm bad at healing, but if I can deal damage and have that heal, I can do that. But I'm like, I don't know how to use the spells. I like my priest is level like 23. Okay. I've played every class. I haven't gotten them all very high. I've gotten a shaman, a hunter, a paladin, um, a mage to max level. And I feel like there was another one I got to max level. You used to be a shadow priest? Yeah. See, I don't. It was such a weird dream. I was just like in WoW. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to. Like, I don't play. Like, my priest is like barely out of diapers. You feel guided to make a human that looks like Guy Fieri. Wait, is he? Would he be a dwarf? I feel like a dwarf might get a little closer. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know how round you can make the humans. Not that Guy Fieri is like super round, but I don't know. Yeah, I had my shadow priest was a gnome actually. My priest is a gnome. Um, so I actually like the shadow priest was fun, but there's also the priest that like does the bubbles instead of like heals, and I really like the bubble priest because I was like, if nobody takes damage, then I don't have to heal, so I'll just do the bubbles. Because with the bubbles, I could also do like light DPS instead of shadow DPS. So I made a bubble healer. He is round? Okay, yeah. All right. I thought so, but I didn't. My brain was like, let me get it together. Oh, snap. Yeah, the one that does like all the shields and stuff. I specialized in shields and it was like, yeah, you played I don't PvP. I'm so garbage at PvP. Every single game I play, I'm garbage at PvP. If it's PvE, if I'm playing against the computer, I'm great. As soon as you add other players, I'm automatically trash. Because when you play against the computer, they don't run circles around you. You know what I mean? And all of my classes are like casters or ranged. So by the time I'm like about to fire off a spell or whatever, they already ran behind me. And I'm like, this is so annoying. Like, and I think you said you've stun locked as a rogue before. Rogues that stun lock are evil. It is the most frustrating experience. Like it would happen too. That's why I don't PvP. You get stun locked. It's garbage. It's garbage. Yeah, I'm like I don't like it. Maybe if I played like a melee class, I would like it a lot more. But like, no. And then even my little pet couldn't really help me. I'm like, oof. Yeah, I remember you telling me you like PvP, bro. I'm like, no, no, no. Because it's like, ooh, the Knave of Swords, Page of Swords. I don't even remember what card I was going to look for. I'll put it back into it one more time. Why not? This is, this video is whatever this video is. I might title this is what it is. And that's not like a clever title. One of my pet peeves. This is not a comment directed at any YouTube reader in particular, but it's like whenever a title is like, this is the best video ever, or whenever a title is like, you need to watch this immediately, or like whenever a title is non-descriptive, I'm like, okay, so what is this about? Like, I just avoid it. I'm like, I don't have time to sit here and figure out why can't you just tell me? Like, this is super important. You need to watch this right now. It's like, no. Good night, Reem. Thanks for stopping by. You have to assert your dominance somewhere. And like I said, that's not directed at anybody in particular. I'm just like, just tell me what the video is about. Give me a title. Two of Swords. This Two of Swords. This is interesting, though. Because on one side of it, there's 3 free wands. On the other side, there's 2 free swords. I was actually looking at that Two of Swords, but they're Two of Swords point face down. If this is a card of defeat, even if it isn't, there's this 3 of Swords almost trauma that leaves us in a space where we think we don't have choice, but the 2 swords are there. We do have choice, we just feel like we don't on one side. And on the other side, it's like we have to fight so hard just to keep whatever possibility. This ship that never comes in. But anyway, let's see. It was such a pleasure, Reem. Have a great night. Great night. Can't wait to see Virgo. No, Scorpio tomorrow. Virgo the day after. I'm just waiting for Pisces and Aries, or Pisces and Taurus to roll back around. Although I think Taurus already got one this cycle, so. Okay. Let's look for that moon one more time. And then I should probably go to bed too, because I didn't realize it was this late. Got me talking about WoW. The 8 of Swords and the Justice. 8-8. 8855. 5 plus 8 is a 13. Justice came out earlier with the Hermit. In this deck, Justice is 8 instead of 11. Those came out. I don't want to do this. I'll do it like this. Let's go looking for the moon. 7 of Swords is behind that. Looking for XVIII. I love to do the mumbo. It is my favorite dance. The Chariot is the card I was going to look for because that's light and dark working together. The Devil is here again. And the World. The Devil, the Moon, and the World. With the 8 of Cups, another 8 under the World card. Both the Devil and this dude at the bottom are facing in the same direction, but the World is looking in the other direction. That's why the 8 of Swords is it literally mirrors down to these two. Like the Devil came out under the 8 of Swords, looking in the same direction. The World comes out under Justice, again, looking in the same direction. But they're not looking at each other. What's interesting is the 8 of Swords and the Devil are facing the future direction, while Justice and the World are facing the past. The Moon exists in between them. And again, here the Moon is sitting in between. And in both Justice and the World, there's an energy that's facing the other direction. But it's like our main person isn't looking that way. The Golden Moon. Eight of Cups at the bottom. This 8 of Cups at the bottom is interesting because of these two. But there's no water here. Because the water's been drained, this person can like go down here. This is interesting. What's interesting about this is the 2 of Cups is behind the 8 of Cups. 2 plus 8 cups is 10 cups. But anyway, what's interesting is it feels like there's a question of like, does it even matter? Like, this is Justice in the 8 of Swords, right? So it feels like there's an energy of justice that is like, and these cards came out. So there's an energy of justice that is like available, that is currently in play. But the 8 of Swords is looking in the complete opposite direction, distracted by whatever this is, because it's looking in the same direction as this. And that's why it's like, does it matter? Like, it feels like this is one of those energies that'll like, it'll be its idea of justice is that everyone who ever wronged me gets their karma. And so something bad should happen to the people who did bad by me. When it's like, well, your justice could be you getting what you actually deserve rather than like other people getting what you think they deserve. Because one thing about people is like we're really good at realizing, recognizing, acknowledging all of the ways, many of the ways that other people hurt us, disregard us, do wrong by us, whatever. But when it comes to our own actions and how we impact and affect other people, the level of detail isn't necessarily there to the same degree. And so, because of that, it is a little like, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. It's a little, those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw rocks. It's very Samikiel, the angel of vengeance, in the Oracle of Emanations, Angelarium Oracle of Emanations, where it's like that the sword of vengeance cuts both ways. So before you call down a divine reckoning, you just make sure that you're not on the docket to receive something yourself. But at the end of the day, again, it's just like, why does it even matter? I think there is a point and there is a period where we need that to come into a certain level of like self-love, or I think it's important for like establishing like self-worth and a lot of the self things to realize and recognize that we deserved better than we were treated. But then it's like, that's it. You realize you deserved more. Okay, well, now go get the more. Don't obsess over someone else getting less. Because it's just like it's possible. And that's something else that I was thinking about recently is that for all, not for all, but for a lot of like the shifts that I've been reading and feeling, it's like every time there was a shift, it was preceded with a flursa. And flursa is that question of like, something is off, something is wrong, isn't it? And so it becomes almost self initiated. But if flursa asks us, is anything wrong, is anything off? And we go, no, nothing happens. If we continue in the way that we've always been going, what's going to change? What's going to shift? A planet moving from one sign to another. Like that planet was going to do that. Like that's kind of, it's almost like, the universe in a certain type of way is like like a clock piece. The second hand moves around the clock every minute. The minute hand moves around the clock every hour, and the hour hand moves around the clock as long as it takes the hour hand to move around the clock. Standard, as far as I know, analog clocks, that's 12 hours, half of a day. So in one day, you're going to get what, 3,600 full revolutions of the second hand. You're going to get 24 of the minute hand, and you're going to get 2 of the hour hand. But what do you do with that time? That's where it matters. It's how you spend the time. And again, something with this 8 of Swords, it's so like that's literally like the devil is like some crocodile thing. These are like literally the same. But in the 8 of Swords, it's turned this person into a crocodile. You know what I mean? Good night, Rob. Have an excellent one. Oof, yeah, all the fun is over. I'm kidding. I should just go to bed too. Honestly, I should have just left it, but we're not. And then on the other side, see, and again, it's like There are three people represented on both of these cards. And it's almost like which wolf is the one that wins? It's the one that you feed. But on the side of the world is justice. On the side of the devil is the Eight of Swords. In the Eight of Swords, it becomes what it feared or whatever. On this side, it's like that devil energy is still present, but like comparatively, it's like negligible. It's almost like there's always going to be challenge in life. There are going to be people who don't see, don't admire, don't appreciate. There are going to be people who are like jealous or envious or whatever. Like that's a given. But the presence of those people shouldn't dictate and determine how you live your life. The presence or absence of those people shouldn't dictate or determine whether or not you're going to be happy and successful and putting your energy towards the things that you personally want to see, experience, feel, whatever. Because it's like to a certain point, other people don't matter. It's like they do. They most definitely do. But it's like for me, one thing that I do is like if I'm having an experience, like this is my experience. If I have feelings for somebody, those are my feelings. And so I try not to like always project that sort of out. You know what I mean? And in that, it's like I'm not holding someone else responsible or accountable for making me feel a certain type of way. If they do, that's great. You know what I mean? If they don't, that's unfortunate. But still, at the end of the day, like we have to get ourselves over going. We can't depend or rely on other people to get us there. It's not always going to be easy. Now, this is where I would want to see an emperor or an empress because that's like taking back your power, is making your joy, your progression, your ascension, your success not reliant on the support of people around you. And again, it doesn't have to be done in like a super detached, like I don't care about anybody type of way, because that's not true. But if you experience situations that you don't want, allow justice to balance that by giving you something that you do want, rather than again being so invested in the downfall of something or someone who wronged you. Because again, like we all live life regardless of how much we are consciously aware of it or not. I'm sure we've all wronged somebody, and justice isn't blind. Like the blind, like justice being blind is like if I come down and issue a verdict, we're issuing verdicts on both sides. You don't get the favorable verdict because you're the one who's suing. It's like, no, the court isn't going to sway in your favor just because you're the first person to say something. That's not how this works. You call on justice because you want like a verdict that is equitable and fair. Not, I mean, when a lot of times when we call down justice because again, like we want to be right because someone else was so wrong and blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but if justice is coming, capital J justice is coming, not human legal system justice, capital J justice. If you're calling down the divine who sees all, who knows all, and who can see within all. Again, it's like it's almost like regardless, you just be better off reinvesting that energy into yourself. I think there's also something with this Eight of Cups because there are four cups down here and four cups up here. And it's like, don't be so. Is that a moose? No, it's not. The For a second, the horns on the bull looked a little bit like antlers. It's almost like it's not being so wrapped up in lost opportunities of the past that we're not seeing the ones that are literally right in front of us. And that's something that I used to do a lot. Like I would get so into like, man, I wish I could have did this or I wish I could have done that and blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm not doing the thing that I can do right now. And then guess what? Like that becomes a regret for the future. It's like, oh, I was so wrapped up in this thing that I didn't even see this other thing. Like that's like none of that is the point. None of that is the point. That's not why, from my little soapbox, that's not why we come into awareness. We don't come into an awareness to lament and regret all of the things that we did wrong in the past. We come into an awareness so that in the now moment, in the present, we can take advantage of the opportunities that are currently presented to us and move forward in a way that we want. And the water is still here in the world card. Ouch. That's why it feels like it's just this question of like, does it matter? Does it matter what you missed out on? Or does it matter what didn't work out? Does it matter who hurt you or harmed you or wronged you when there's something so much better being offered and presented right now? The answer to that question is not always yes. I fully 100% realize and understand that there are some things that we go through and experience that are more serious than other things. And some of us experience, or some of us seem to have more unfavorable experiences to a more unfavorable degree than others. But if there's a healing that's been done, if there's a resolution that's happened within the self to the point where new, better, more aligned things are presenting themselves, then do we still want to allow what somebody else did to keep us and hinder us from like moving forward? And that way, it's almost like they always win. I've also been into deconstructing numbers. I take it back. Never mind. I thought this was 16 for a second. I was like, a 16 is two eights. But it's like, in that way, they continue to hurt us. In that way, they continue to harm us. And that way, they continue to hold us back when we don't take the thing in front of us that is ours for the taking. And again, in both of these cards, it's like devil energy isn't absent. Like it is still there, but it looks forward anyway. And then you'll reach the point, it's like where it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. It gets infinitesimally small at some point, rather than like being so much bigger than you, or rather than turning you into it or whatever. And something about this is especially sinister because there's an Ace of Swords behind this. But that's that human thing again, where it's like our humanness can cause us to put certain filters on things, and our hearing might get a little selective, you know? A big moose on a porch eating a pumpkin. What? Have y'all seen the video of like the white moose that was getting out of the water or whatever? I know that was going around the internet at a certain point. That was like a hot second ago. But yeah, it's just like it's water under the bridge. And again, it's not to be so dismissive of the things that we've gone through at all. It's not to be detached from things at all. But there's something about, like, it's literally justice. Like, there's something about us sort of weighing that out for ourselves. And I feel like, again, like this is playing on the two of swords that's left after the three have been taken, to the point where it's like we don't even see that choice is there because of what we've gone through and because of what we've experienced, because of what we hold on to. So I will honor this by doing the last golden moon. Both of these have been like rough. I was like, anytime I just like shuffle the deck, it's like Ten of Cups, Ten of Pentacles, the Sun, gorgeous, but the cards come out. I am gonna go looking for that Chariot card because I remember it. So actually, I feel like there is a like, if the Chariot is movement, this is a movement from that previous energy, where it was like conflict on one side, conflict on the other side. We try to pick the winning side. It's like there's loss either way, almost, or there's something that we're just missing, and then we move forward. The star, love star energy. Don't necessarily like this star card in particular. The thing I don't like about this star is that she's reaching for it. Right. It's like she's not gonna. I mean, I know the saying is like shoot for the moon because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. But it's like, that's one thing. I feel like if there's like this hidden side of star energy that's like very dark, because it's like, if you're wishing upon a star, what is your situation? That your salvation is something that is so far away. There's just like such a sense of powerlessness behind it a lot of times. And I feel like this plays up on the powerlessness of star card energy. But at the same time, it's like, well, at least now we see. At least now we notice. At least now we have something to reach for, something to aim for that isn't void, dark space in the night. That is a light. So it is a very important shift towards the sun, or at least towards light, anyway. Five of Swords and the Lovers and the Knight of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I love this. See, this to me is like, that's a star in the hand energy. I feel like I often see these two cards. Like, whenever I see the star, this card is not far behind. And I love this combination because it's almost like the star is to get us. Again, it's to point us in that direction. But the Knight of Swords is when we start to sort of like put in the energy towards creating it, or finding it like right where we are. Realizing that it doesn't have to be all the way up in the nighttime sky. Realizing that it can be something that we have and hold. And it's the Five of Swords and the Lovers. Is that a butterfly? Five of Swords in the pincushion, the butterfly in the jar. Love that. Again, it's like it's shifting. It's like first the focus has to be shifted. I also love this energy coming out of this, shifting out of this mentality, shifting towards this one. It's pushing us in this direction, which is gorgeous again. And again, like it feels like that's why that Eight of Swords devil energy is an important part of the process. Like that anger is good to get us to see something about ourselves. Like when we reach that breaking point, when we say no more, great, amazing. Is there going to be a point in time where we, like, maybe we go a little further and we're like, oh, da 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 da, yeah, maybe we get a little drunk on self power and empowerment. But then at a certain point, we dial it back and it's like, okay, well, what do I want? Enough of like what I hope this other person gets or blah 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 whatever. Like, what do I want for me? Because And again, like it feels like the star is shifting us towards that energy. Because after that's over, that's when with the lovers we start making the choices and decisions to grow in a new way. It's like all of this Five of Swords energy is this down here. It serves as the nutrients for our new experience. Again, it's not for us to be consumed in and lost in to the point where we don't allow ourselves anything more, anything better. And then that's again when we come out with this Knight of Swords. But it's information and it's knowledge, it's connection, it's expansion used in a way to get us this. Right where we are. So let me find the Chariot. And then I'll get that last moon. Hopefully the last one is good because, what love. The Chariot is number 7. The star is number 17. I had the number 17 stuck in my head. I'm looking for number 7. The Chariot, please. Chariot, please. Chariot, please. The Chariot is also at the top of the deck. Oh, well, it's closer to the top. Page of Wands, the Chariot, and the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is here again. And I love that the Two of Swords is almost like, well, which face are you going to wear? You know what I mean? And the face feels like that's a throat, third eye. It's a throat and third eye energy. More so than a throat, third eye crown because it's not a head, it's a face. The throat and the third eye is interesting together. It's almost because like we see more of what we put out. We receive more of what we put out. So if we're like saying one thing but trying to receive another, it might get a little. Things may be like lost in translation. Universe may be like, well, you're saying one thing but you're doing another. So I gave you more of what you're doing rather than what you're saying. Snow. It snowed here today. It looked like Christmas when I woke up today. It made me happy. It made me happy. It also snowed very close, like over the weekend. But I don't think it snowed here. The cards. So it's the Page of Swords, the Chariot, and the Page of Wands. Sorry, the Chariot and the Two of Swords. This is giving me. Oh, it is Dragonfly energy. I was gonna say this is giving me Dragonfly energy because there are 2 pairs of wings on seemingly this one. No, there are 2 geese. Never mind. It looked like one. Geese, that's the lovers. The Canadian geese, that's the lovers in the Wild Unknown Tarot. So again, with the lovers being the choices and decisions that we're now making in this new direction, that's going to be what carries us forward. And it's almost like the more we engage in that energy, that's what I said, right? With the world and justice. It's like that devil energy gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and to the point where it's barely existent. because it feels like the more we engage in the energy moving forward, the more like this, whatever face is the happy face becomes the one that we choose. And our face isn't for us. Our face is for anything outside of us. We can't see our own faces. You know what I mean? Not that like, we dress up for other people or whatever, but like that's what, again, like when we speak and we speak out into the world, we receive from the world. And then we internally do all of our processing, which is again in this Eight of Swords, it's like this Ace of Swords is dictated by double energy, so it feels so distorted. It could also be like confirmation bias, especially when we already have a not great opinion of something. The universe is so confirmation biasy. I feel like I literally experienced it firsthand. Like one day, I was speaking of the Eight of Swords, speaking of all of this energy, I was feeling very wronged. So I get on, I'm just like on YouTube anyway, and all the videos are like karmic, blah, blah, blah. This person is now getting their karmic whatever, and they deserve this, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, ooh, this is gross. I don't want this energy. I was like, let me switch this up. I literally drag my phone screen down, refresh, and all the messages are different. And I feel like that was like spirit universe, like, okay, like, which one of these feeds would you rather see? And I'm like, yeah, not that one, because that energy is like gross. Like, do I feel hurt? Do I feel slighted? Yeah, sure. Am I that hurt? No. Like, I don't know. I no. And it literally changed right before my eyes. And I'm trying to look at this Page of Wands. This Page of Wands, if you haven't seen Reem's Libra video, I was going to say reading. If you haven't seen Reem's Libra video reading about like passions and desires leading to success and stuff like that, that's very much this energy. Because the Page of Wands is creating a path using wands. You can see the wands and like the broken wands in her hands, right? Laying them at her feet to make this path, to create it out of this dark wooded area. And that's the Chariot in the Vice Versa tarot. The Chariot and the Vice Versa, the road is literally forming under the Chariot. Again, it's like choice, because that was, let me see if the cards are still here. It should be the second one. Or yeah. It's like this wood, right? And they're like these little splinters. It's like this is what it's like as the Page of Wands is making more and more of these choices, this grows and it's like she's breaking off these splinters because the tree is young enough, it's easy enough to forge that road. But it's carried by choice and decision. It's carried by our perspective. On the Two of Swords, throat and third eye is right there. Also, the rapier came out recently in the fortune telling cards, and it looked like it could either be like flat on the ground where it's no problem, or it's standing up as a gate. And this Two of Swords, the two crossed swords are on the ground. Like this person can just as easily walk over this as whatever. But X marks the spot, right? And X marks the spot makes it feel like some kind of treasure. The Ten of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. And again, it feels like there is such a prevailing like spirit is like, we know that life is hard. We know that things are difficult, and we know that people don't necessarily change overnight. But everything starts somewhere. To get a plant, At some point, you have to plant the seed. And for that plant to grow, at some point, you're going to have to water the seed. And to get to the next phase, at some point, you're going to have to make sure that the environment is suitable for it to grow. And it's all of these like step by step by step, day by day things that we do to nurture something until it's healthy and strong. It's not everything all at once, one time, and that's it. You know what I mean? So like there is like wiggle room, like there is room for us to be human because guess what? We're human. But again, it's like at some point something has to change, something has to be done. We have to start to get where we want to go. And this Two of Swords, like it feels like it's sort of in between as well. And I do have to mention, because I'm looking for the moon, that I think I already put it inside the deck. This is also the moon in between these two extremes. So again, it's like we're exactly where we need to be. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. This is just, I mean, the star precedes the moon. But that's just the thing that shifts us in like the direction of getting our wish granted and fulfilled. Again, with the Knight of Swords, we have it within us to grant our own or fulfill our own or to go work towards the creation of it. You know what I mean? Also, Reem's Libra reading, instead of going to the oracle seeking out that future, follow your passions and your desires to create the one that you want. Because what if you go to the oracle and she's like, it's looking rough. I see the Ten of Swords. I see the Ten of Wands. I see the Tower. I see all of the worst cards in the tarot deck for you. And you're like, oh. Well, yeah, if like you're on that path and trajectory, then that's going to be your outcome. But like that Page of Wands, you can build yourself to somewhere new. You know what I mean? That's why it's better to create than to. That's why sometimes it's situationally better to create rather than go to the oracle. You know, some things can change, some things are immutable. And I don't know which is which. And I don't know if the oracle will always tell you which is which. I don't know if the oracle is always going to be like, you can't avoid this fate, though, if you do X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Or if she's just like, yep, this is what it is. So the last moon, please make it good. Please. Please. It's going to be whatever it is. I want it to be good so I can feel more comfortable ending this video. But if it ain't, you know, we can choose to make something else. So, like I said, with Flissa, with just choice, like everything has been like choices, decisions. And now, like, potentiality is potential. Like, the Ace of Pentacles was coming out anytime I picked up any deck. But the Ace is just the potential. If we don't do anything with it, then, you know, we don't. If you don't, the Ace of Pentacles is like a seed. If you don't plant the seed, you don't get the Ten of Pentacles at the end of it. You know what I mean? Oh, these cards keep falling on the floor. Stop falling on the floor. Unless you're going to fall somewhere where I can find all the other cards that have been eaten by my green carpet. Oh, it's fine. In a week, I'll be like, oh, what's this random card on the floor? I always find them when I'm supposed to. But I would much prefer not losing them. And for any of y'all who are like, well, maybe you need to clean your room. Well, maybe you need to mind your business. I'm kidding. For those of y'all who came in after I started the live, I was talking about how much your amazing supportive comments on the video that didn't have any audio hurt my ego because I talked in that video. Like I read those cards and y'all are like, it doesn't even need sound. And I'm like, yeah, but it had sound. But at the same time, I was very much like, well, maybe there's something that like I didn't say. Maybe there's something I did say. Like like Kirsty said, everything happens in the way that it's supposed to happen for a reason. And when I saw that the video didn't have any audio, I was aware of that. Now, was I mentally and emotionally prepared for the influx of supportive comments? No. But at the same time, I because when I watched it back, I noticed things that I didn't even notice the first time I read it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But I just want y'all to know it did indeed have audio. I did, in fact, read those cards. It wasn't like that one time I was like, oh, we're going to do silent reading so you can all individually interpret whatever this is saying. But, like I said, it's fine. My fragile ego can handle a bruising and it can also handle a beating. I'm in the middle of my Saturn return. You know what I mean? Like, my ego is pretty malleable. It's got to be. And like I said, I want a lot. I want everything. And I'm willing to do anything to get it. So, but like a spirit anything, like a justice anything, like a the world card anything, not like a 8 of Swords anything, not like a devil energy anything. And that's something that, it's also like a thing. Because, the everything that I want is everything that I want. Because I want everything that I want with not a lot of things that I don't want. You know what I mean? But anyway, the only card that I found is the Seven of Batons, the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Staves, the Seven of Bastos, the Seven of Bastoni. And we see the crocodiles in the water. The Seven of Wands is also a card that I've been seeing a lot. And the Seven of Wands is also a card that, as I read tarot, like there are a few ways to read some of the cards. And I usually see the Seven of Wands in a way that isn't always the way that I hear other readers talk about it. For me, like the Seven of Wands isn't necessarily about being in, and this is something I remember from the last time I saw it. For me, it's not always about like being defensive. For me, the Seven of Wands is being in a position of advantage. And so, like, there is like a Five of Wands. It's like a Five of Wands energy, but you have the high ground. And the last time I saw it, which goes back to the last one, like, does it even matter? Because it's almost like we don't always have to play into those energies. Like you already won. You don't have to go back and argue with the person that lost. You know what I mean? Not to make it a person versus person, because sometimes it's just you versus the past energy or a previous energy. Again, going back to that like 8 of Swords, devil, all of that like doesn't matter. Like you already won. You have the high ground. You can choose to keep moving forward. And then they can work their way to your position if they choose to whatever. Not everything is for everybody to choose. And also not every, because this is a thought I had the other day too, about how sometimes we play certain roles in each other's lives. And sometimes while we're together, like you have a role and I have a role. And then at some point, the way that the script is written, we clash and we go our separate ways. Right. And then I grow, I heal, I evolve, you grow, you heal, you evolve, or we stay the same. But when we're written back together, the roles are different. And it's just like that's who we were for each other at that point, you know? So it's not always so black and white. Speaking of your bull, here's your bull. Is this the animal that remembers? It's the wildebeest, the one with the horns, the ones that like if you hunt one of their relatives, they will remember your face and they will come for you. Animals have great memories, some of them, and some of them do not let stuff go. Ace of Wands, Seven of Wands. All together, it's the Eight of Wands. And I've been seeing a lot of Eight of Wands energy. And again, like, I feel like, why is it going in a different direction, though? I would much prefer this energy to be facing in this direction with the Ace of Wands. But, you know, because again, that's that, like, you, like, in the Seven of Wands, you have the high, like, this person has the high ground. Like, these crocodiles aren't even, maybe, I mean, he's keeping the crocodiles in the water, maybe, because maybe if he wasn't beating them off with the stick, they would, like, get up on the thing. So maybe in this case, it is appropriate to be defensive. Um, but here's the Ace of Wands, symbolic of passion. These are the things that the Page of Wands is snapping and breaking and using to make a new path, right? So maybe this is, I feel like the energy is a lot better. Better is relative. I feel like this is, it almost feels like it's a different way to interpret the last one that we got. It's almost like, do we continue to bang our heads on a wall that we've been working on for however many days, weeks, months, years, decades, or do we go in a new way? Right? Because again, like, this is a 7 trying to get to the 10. So there's already been a certain level of achievement, and he's trying to continue expanding in that way. But to continue expanding in this way, the platform has to be extended. These crocodiles need to be taken care of. And then he can plant the 7th one there and build it out, and the 8th one there and build it out, and the 9th one and build it out, and then the 10th one, right? You can keep going that way. Or do we just go in a completely new way, dictated by the Ace of Wands? And for me, that's how sometimes we think that, that's funny. It's almost like a sunk costs and opportunity costs and stuff like that, right? It's like a lot of times when we make choices and decisions, we factor in the amount of time that we've already put into doing one thing. Or if it comes to like swords, like knowledge, information, or whatever, it's like, well, this information has served me for this long, or this is something that I know to be true. And so these other things, like, I'm going to stick to the truth that I know. And that's funny because it came into my mind either earlier today or yesterday. Um, there was a buddy of mine who did a reading a while ago, and he got a card that was like, if your wisdom doesn't serve you, then abandon that wisdom. And I feel like there was so much wisdom in that statement because we're human. Our knowing is limited, and a lot of our knowing is situational. Like science is all situational. Like in this environment, this is what we observe. This observation was made in many environments, and because we've done all of these tests, this is something that we've witnessed to be true. But just because we witness it to be true doesn't necessarily mean that it is, or doesn't necessarily mean that that truth is a universal truth. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that it applies to every situation, because it seems like for every rule that we have, there are a million exceptions. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but only at this time, in this season, if the moon is in this degree of that sign, and if the wind is blowing south by southeastward at a rate of 45 miles per hour. And it's like, okay, so that's like one day out of an entire year every 150,000 years. When there are more exceptions to the rule, then cases where the rule applies, maybe the rule shouldn't be a rule. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's just, again, it's like the best that we can do. And so when we're given a whole ace, it's like, well, maybe we should trust the ace and not necessarily, But again, use your own intuition, discernment, all that stuff. If it don't apply to you, don't take it. In this case, I don't know if they're necessary. There isn't always a wrong or right answer either. A lot of this is about choice. It's like, you can have the thing that you've been working on. You can continue in that way, and you may find success, or you can go in a new way. You may find success there. It's about why. It's about knowing why we make the choices and decisions that we make. And I think that's something that this Two of Swords can really, that's something that this Two of Swords can do while it's in between. While it has no expression, there is a certain clarity that provides. So, Ace of Swords, as I was literally like, this could be swords, knowledge, information. Do you take it? Who knows? With the Star looking in the same direction, facing Judgment. With the Knave of Wands behind that Judgment. Look at how they're all facing off. I know we're going from cobras to wings, but this is Isis and Osiris, isn't it? Makes sense. But it's like we have this one on the crown, and then we got that one up in the sky. I was thinking of Quetzalcoatl today. I don't know why. It was like, it was so weird. It just popped into my mind, like, is that a bird or something? And I was like, no, it's not a bird. It's Quetzalcoatl. It's a feathered serpent. And then I started thinking about dragons. How dragons is like, the dragon is the snake that gained its wings without losing its feet. Because Quetzalcoatl is the feathered serpent back in the Garden of Eden after the events that culminated in the expelling of Adam and Eve from the garden. After that happened, the snake was cursed to slither on its belly, and then eventually, at some point, that serpent gets wings, and that's the Quetzalcoatl, the winged serpent. But the dragons still have their legs, so they didn't have to get cursed to get their wings anyway. That whole thing popped into my mind. The snakes, the cobras, and the wings, that's all I got there. It's fine. The Ace of Swords, the Star. But that's the thing with the Knight of Swords and the Star, right? But here it's like it's preceded by the Ace of Swords first. So first is the thought, or first is this incoming information. And then we look. This is Flusa. This is Flusa. So again, I don't know, like when Russ first introduced the runes, Flusa was one of the first runes that he showed in the first video. I'm pretty sure it was the first rune. Might not have been, but I think it was. And for some reason, when he held the rune up in my mind, it's like it just played out that story. The circle is the portal, and there's a line in front of the circle, and that line is the question of, like, what's off? What's here that shouldn't be here? Then when we recognize it, we go, oh, it's that thing. And then that thing is removed, and boom, you go through the portal. But if you're like, I don't think anything's off, everything seems pretty good, then like you stay where you are, right? Like we keep building out this way. If we're like, oh, everything's good, we keep building out this way. If we're like, oh wait, now that you mention it, something is off, the stick that was blocking the portal gets removed, and then we go in this direction. If the stick is blocking the portal, here are two portals. that are unobstructed. And then there's us facing the rebirth. Anyway. And then we go to judgment. With that new information, with that star, that's when we can make a choice and decision to move in another direction. Again, we already saw it with the Page of Wands and everything else. I don't know why. It's 11:11. And apparently Facebook wants to send me all of the notifications. But that's fine. And then we have the Knave of Wands behind that. Knave of Wands, Page of Wands, doing something new with that information. Literally, I feel like the cards are like, yeah, you could have just not pulled out that other deck, or you could have not used the other deck to find the Chariot, but it's fine. Behind the Knave of Wands is the Knave of Swords, Page of Swords. It was the Knight of Swords that was creating that star where they were. So again, we're just like recapping those, I guess. Looking for the moon, looking for the moon, looking for the moon, looking for the moon. The last and final golden moon energy. I keep seeing these title cards, and I'm like, oh, what if we get a title card? So far we haven't, but doesn't mean that they won't. That it won't happen now. Oh, it didn't happen. There's the second title card. Oh, the Emperor and the Empress. And the King of Chalices. The Emperor and the Empress. So the Emperor is before the card before the moon. The Empress is after the card after the moon. Hey, David, how you doing? How are you tonight? Emperor and Empress. Making choices, making decisions. Empowered choices and decisions. So y'all remember how the Eight of Cups was like at the bottom of the deck or whatever last time? Well, it came out. The Eight of Chalices, the Moon, and the Ten of Wands. No resolution? I was going to say what's interesting is the Eight of Chalices is on the side of the Ace of Wands, and the Ten of Wands is on the side. The Eight of Cups was under the Seven of Wands. The Ten of Wands was under the Ace of Wands, but when I put the cards back down, it was the opposite. But I'm going to fix it. 7, 8. 7 Wands, 8 Cups. Again, it's almost like it's not there anymore. If the Seven of Wands is a card of defensiveness, it's imagined. It's not imagined. It's like it's a trauma response almost. It's like, well, last time I made it this far, there were alligators, and I had to beat them off with a stick. And it's like, well, last time was the last time. Things were different. The alligators have migrated. They're not there anymore. On the side of the Ace of Wands is the Ten of Wands. Numerologically, these energies are the same. But this Ace of Wands feels like a burden because of this energy. And again, it goes right back to the sunk costs. It's either because of everything we've already invested that to start all over feels like it would be more hassle than it's worth. But at the same time, going off of this Ace of Cups, or the Eight of Cups, sorry, it's like what was in the water is no longer there. And we're being asked to raise our heads again and look at what is here now. So it's a very similar energy to the one that it's the same. Well, it's similar, it's not the same. But the Emperor and the Empress is here looking in different directions. This happened again. Not quite the same. The cards are facing the same direction. This was the Eight of Swords and the Devil. This was justice in the world. Here, the Ten of Wands is looking in the same direction as something is falling back in that direction. It's also interesting that we get these two here and then these two up here. But in the Eight of Cups, it's actually facing the other way, but it's looking like down at the ground, so. This reads like, it's almost like we've already gone in the other direction. Like we've already turned around, but because we're like lamenting or because we're caught in whatever this wilderness is, we're not noticing that we've already headed in that other direction, which is interesting. But again, like that's the energy of like everything was already changed. It's how we hold on to things that get us to manifest more of the same in the world. But because this moon card, because we have a very special moon card energy here, it's the truth lies somewhere in the middle. The truth lies in the middle of the Seven of Wands and the Ace of Wands. I mean, 7 plus the Ace is the Eight of Wands. And like I said, the Eight of Wands has been like everywhere, it seems. And then we have this 10 of Wands. So the 7 plus the Ace plus the 10 of Wands is the 18 of Wands. 18 is the Moon card. So we have a Moon of Wands with a Hermit of Cups. It's not a Hermit, it's Justice in this deck. 8 is Justice, Justice of Cups with the Hermit of Wands. 16 is twice 8. And 8 is twice 4. 4 is twice 2. So that's a lot of 2s. So I'm going to choose, especially because the Emperor and the Empress are here, I'm going to choose to read this in a different way. The Ace of Wands is something that's being presented to us. Because of the Seven of Wands, we don't know where it goes. So that's why we forge ahead and we try to create enough space to place this new wand. And to do that, there are things that we work through. There are things that we clear up, that we clear out. There are things that lurk in the, oh, I already have the deck out. I already have the deck. We're looking for the crocodile, duh. Oh, here it is right here. With my favorite card, the tarantula. The tarantula and the peacock. Oh, and then there's the raccoon. I was like, where's the earth? We can either have raccoon earth or we can have lamb earth. Earth is presented on both sides. We get to choose. But anyway, the tarantula and the peacock. The tarantula is interesting. Tarantula is also a spider that people keep as pets. Like people keep other spiders as pets too. But people be like, oh, like I have a pet tarantula. It's big, it's hairy, it works in a way that other spiders don't necessarily work because of its size. Its environments are different. Um, but anyway, because we don't know where that ace goes, we continue forward, right? And then as we're moving forward, maybe we're realizing that it doesn't feel like it goes anywhere in this direction. And so then the traditional walking away of the Eight of Cups, this is the point where we turn around. What's interesting about that is, though, it feels like if we turn around, when we turn around with that ace, then what was previously an accomplishment, serves as a hindrance. Because now we have to move this Ace of Wands through all of this. And over here, the space was open, right? We just take the next step and the next step. You plant a wand, you plant a wand, you plant a wand. But going back, it feels cumbersome. And that's why this is sitting at, or it's clarified by this Ten of Wands energy. This is almost also, too, the weight of accomplishment when we have to go back. And is that weight real or is it perceived? Is it real or imagined, right? Is that like it's actually difficult to like backtrack? Or is that, what are people going to say about me if I like all of a sudden do something new? Right? Like I experience so much success and they're like, it's either what are people going to say about me or it's one of those sunk costs. Like I've already invested all of this, like, it feels like because of the Emperor and the Empress, it feels like it might actually be a little less cumbersome than we think. But there's something that has to be worked through, cleared up before that. I already it was the tarantula and the peacock. Tarantula and the peacock, this feels like the tarantula feels very other. The peacock also feels other, but the peacock embraces its otherness. So it's almost like there's the point where we stop pretending. And at first, when we stop pretending, maybe the world feels a lot more hostile, or maybe it's a lot of like, am I going to be accepted by the world if I like do go back in that other way? Especially if we experience a lot of success, or if we experience success being a version of ourselves that isn't completely 100% authentic to us, to who we are now. Maybe it was authentic to us at some point, and that's why we were so good at it. But now we're starting to expand a little bit. We're starting to desire things outside of whatever zone we were in before, going back to that star. And so we go in a new way. And then there's all of the anxiety associated with going a new way. Again, it feels like the peacock is the one that embraces that. The crocodile is about waiting, like Holly, I think, said. But it's like that's the point that spirit, the divine, ancestors, angels, guides, that's the point that they're waiting on us to reach, where we move forward regardless. And that's when the changes that we're making synchronize with the changings that are happening outside of us. And that's what really puts us in this golden egg energy. Because not only is the golden egg hatched, it's incubated. And the thing inside the egg, that earthworm, is growing in size. It's going to be a Jormungandr at some point. Like, again, the sea serpent was right next to the phoenix. It's big. It's so big that we can't be small. So that took a time, but we got there. I think we did. We got there. I'm going to put this back. I'm gonna shuffle these up and I'm going to put that moon card back one more time. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. Because it feels like this is a point for us to reach. Like there's something within ourselves to work through, to have this moment, to have this realization, because this is the spot where this is where we're supposed to end up. Is this lion with the black egg, truth and authenticity at the same time. All of these like these 3 golden moons was the process, our process of reaching this point. And again, it's like, I feel like there can be so much self-criticism. It's easy to be self-critical, but it's not necessary. Things are changing. Things are transpiring. Things are metamorphosing, transfiguring. And so again, it's like who you are now and what you'll experience moving forward. Like everything is so different, you can't even compare. Like, again, like we're humans, it's super easy to be like, oh, well, if I was this version of me 5 years ago, my life would be completely different. Like, yeah, your life would be completely different, but maybe not necessarily in the way that you think it would be. Because those changes and transformations are synchronized with other changes and transformations. The environment is different. People are different. You're different. Now, and a lot of that, like those previous phases, were necessary. Butterflies and dragonflies don't come into the world as butterflies and dragonflies. They come into the world as caterpillars and nymphs because they're designed to. We come into the world as babies. We grow, we mature, we age, we develop, we evolve, and then we become, right? No one is expected to be born whatever. So, like, you can play the comparison game if you want, but you don't have to. It's almost pointless. But that's why it's all that energy of like, take the now for now and move forward. Knave of Chalices, King of Chalices, and the Tower. There's something that the Knave of Chalices' cup wasn't big enough to affect. But when the Knave becomes a king and that cup gets bigger, now it can move this tower. It's almost like there's enough clean water now to dilute, dissolve, ablute. I know Russ loves the word ablute. That's aqua regia, right? Ablutions. There's enough clean water now. Like, this is a filtration process. This night has filtered enough of that water to get something to move now. It's a process. Followed by the Queen of Chalices and the Star. Lots of water. The Star pouring water, just like that, just like the King of Cups was doing. That's what the Star does. And again, it's like it's about becoming that star energy. So it's not something, that we got to wish for way outside of ourselves. Love it. Okay. Oh. So, we got the Six of Chalices. So after the Star, the Queen of Cups, the Star, the Ace of Swords. Now it's the Star and the Ace of Swords rather than the Ace of Swords and then the Star. The Six of Chalices, more cups, the Moon, and the Emperor. Love that. The Six of Cups, the Moon, and the Emperor. With the Three of Wands and the Knight of Swords, sorry. Three of Wands behind that. This is the Three of Wands that were just left in the background at the Five of Wands. It's like now, at the end of all that, now we can do something. And not just do something, now it's the Emperor. Now we're the Emperor. There is no competition with the Emperor. Now we can just decide. Now we don't have to go through all of that. Seven of Wands, Ace of Wands, Eight of Cups, 10 of Wands, like all of that cut out. Boom. You're the Emperor. You make the choice and decision. Three of Wands. Where do you want to go? Speak and it shall be done. We just want to make sure that, we have a vocabulary to communicate what it is that we actually desire when we reach one of those speak and it shall be done energies. We also want to make sure that we're not consumed with like that justice, everything that we already talked about. We want to make sure we're not in that energy when it's speak and it shall be done. Because it'd be really easy to say a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't really get us any closer to where we actually want to go. It's also interesting that for the first time, the water that was blue is now red. I'm going to go out on the limb and say this is not the blood of your enemies. The Emperor said, the rivers shall run red with the blood of my energies and the blood of my energies. The rivers will run red with the blood of my enemies, and you will make it so, Spirit, because that is my justice. No, this red feels like earth. Like this feels like a red clay earth energy. So in this case, it's actually not a bad thing that the waters have been silted up. Because it makes it feel like extra fertile for growing something now. Also, at the same time, every time we saw someone with the water and the cups in the water, the alligators in the water, the other person in the water, they were obsessed with what's going on under the water to the point where they were missing everything going on up here. Six of Cups, they're not missing it. They are engaged up here. Three of Cups energy, amazing. Celebration up here. And it's this going on up here that recontextualizes everything that happened in the water before. This is where we reach that point where it's like, oh, okay. I can be grateful for those experiences that happened in the past. Now I can hold the past in an energy of appreciation. Now the past can serve as fertilizer for a brand new, beautiful future that serves me as I serve it or whatever, rather than this blockage, hindrance, this thing that always kept biting me in the butt. Because the past becomes the future through the space of the now, through choices and decisions that we make every day. But the past becomes the future. And at some point, we make different choices in the now that change the past, or we get a different perspective, and that was the Ace of Swords and the Star. Like that's all of this healing and waterworks and tower and like all this stuff was to change how we feel, interact with all of this stuff. And again, like it's not this anymore. Now it's this. And we're up here. And the Emperor, again, like the Emperor is here. We're in the space of making the choices and decisions. The emperor is no less responsible for life than the empress. The empress doesn't do it all by herself. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's important. And the Diablo deck that Rob just unboxed on his channel, the emperor was chained to the throne, but you could see it looked like the shadow of the devil behind the emperor. And again, like that is this sort of energy. When we're down here and we feel like we don't have any choices, we feel like we don't have any options, we feel like we can't do anything different, we can't break karmic cycles to the point where we become the narcissist. We become so hurt by the narcissist that we become the narcissist to somebody else. Not all the time. I know we don't all become those that hurt us, but some of us do. And then we ask for justice. And it's like, okay, girl, well, you're a narcissist now, so you want that justice too? Or anyway, sorry. Because of the Three of Swords up here, we feel like we have no. And this was literally the start of everybody else constantly always looking down, checking the water, obsessed about the water. It all started here. We felt like at that point, we had no choice. The emperor, like that's not emperor energy. Like it's like, yeah, like how can you be the emperor and at the same time feel like you don't have any choices? How can you be an emperor and feel like it's like that's the one thing that the emperor and the empress do is they make choices and decisions. Now they also have like advisors and counselors and all kinds of people that help them make informed choices and decisions, because the emperor and the empress, like, they're still people, right? They only know so much. So they have to have people that they can trust to inform them of a lot of things. At the same time, the counselor, the advisor, the trusted person is not the emperor or the empress. And so if you make a choice and decision based on information that you get from somebody else, guess what? You're still responsible because you're the emperor. You're the empress. You should have made sure that, number one, you got somebody that you can trust, and number two, you went out and verified for yourself. Because if your advisor's like, yeah, the people are great, like they love you, like your polls have never been higher, you're amazing, because that's what you want to hear, and your counselor doesn't want to die, and they know that your ego is that fragile that you will project upon them how you are experienced by the world rather than taking it upon yourself, then, like, yeah, they're going to lie to you because they don't want to die. Meanwhile, your empire is on the brink of a civil war, but at that point, it's more of a revolution than a civil war, and even your own people are going to turn against you. You weren't ready for the truth. You didn't want to hear the truth, so you were lied to. You couldn't handle the truth. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? It's like, girl, well, look out your window. You'll see that they're already lined up. Stakes sharpened, torches ablaze, signs written on. And you're like, oh yeah, everyone loves me. Like, it's great. It's like, okay, girl. Title card. Buy more decks. It's the buy more decks title card. Continue journeying. It's the continue journeying. Continue journeying into the world. Continue journeying into the world title card. Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Swords. It might be uncomfortable truths. And again, here's this Ace of Swords right here. 8 swords up here. The ace right there. It might be the thing that we don't want to see. Look who's wait, is that the under the nine of swords is the moon. And on the other side is the six of swords. The nine and the six of swords. I wasn't even looking before and after the moon card. I was done. This is it. The moon between the nine and the six of swords, it's almost like it's an energy of like, I feel like I say stuff like this with an almost flippancy that might belie the understanding that I have. But it's almost like, it's like if you're not going anywhere, if you're not moving at this point, you made that choice. Like it's your choice. It's always been your choice. And maybe that's something that everything in flux is really going to show us. It's our choice. It's always been our choice. Our choice, like, consequence has to exist in order for there to be free will and free choice. It has to exist. Because otherwise, your choices don't mean anything. You know what I mean? And so, because of that, the past must exist and the future must exist. There is more than just right now and right here. The now moment is the only moment that we act in. The now moment is the only moment where we have choice and control. Because after we make a choice in the now, it becomes the past. And before that choice is ours to make, it's the future. But it's like it has to mean, all of it has to mean something in order for any of it to mean anything. But also, again, in that, there is grace, there is mercy, there is forgiveness, there is change, evolution, de evolution, regression, descension, ascension, progress, movement. A lot of times, a lot of us live in a world that is so, it's either we can whine, cry, pout, fuss, throw a fit and argue and tantrum our way into getting what we want. We can pay, bribe, have connections to cheat the justice system, or we're so separate from consequence. The natural order of the world, it matters not to the current man. But the divine don't play by people rules. So, maybe you're real used to shedding a few crocodile tears and getting your way, but what do crocodile tears mean to spirit? Crocodile tears, there we go. That's devil energy. Crocodile tears. Like, what does that mean? What is like that? Don't even phase the Queen of Swords or the King of Swords or the Page of Swords or the Knight of Swords or the King of Wands or the Queen of Wands or the Knight of Wands or maybe even the Page of Wands. The one you might like crocodile tears might work on the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. Like cups, the King of Cups probably not. The King of Pentacles maybe. But it's like, and that's why sometimes, when we're like, Spirit, if you give me this, I promise I'm going to act right. I promise I'm not going to do this no more. And then we don't get it. But we know that if we did get it, we would still do it anyway. Like I said, that's why I haven't won the lottery. That's why I had to live life this long to come into a season of abundance. Because if I ain't got to work, I'm not going to work. You know what I mean? I'm a Taurus moon and rising. If I can be out in the grass, eating grass, laying in the grass, pooping in the grass, living my life, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'm not a Capricorn. I'm not an Aries. I'm not a Libra. I'm not a Cancer. Even though I do have a grand cardinal cross in my chart, if I don't have to be cardinal, now things are different because I'm different. And so now it's like, oh, I feel like, cardinal energy would be like interesting. It would be a breath of fresh air for all of the mutable fixed energy I have in my chart. I actually want to do something now. What? I actually want to live life. But I had to change until, before that came in because y'all would have never seen me. Probably. If I didn't have to be doing any of this, I'm human too. I wouldn't be doing it. Hello. And that's why I understand when spirit is like, when Saturn is like, hey, you're gonna have to do this. I'll throw a fit for a little bit. I'll be like, I don't think so. But then I'm like, let me think about this real quick. If the Taurus moon and rising that I am, Pisces sun, that I am, wants the good stuff, maybe I gotta work to get it. And I want to keep it too, right? I don't want to just rent it and have it for like a day. Like, I want it to be sustainable. So maybe I will like do stuff. And I'm like, oh, I guess here we go. Sometimes not so much anymore. But especially early in my journey, before I started my journey, girl, oof, I'm glad. I feel like I feel like if something happened and my next life was a karmic one, I feel like I would come back as one of my spirit guides or guardian angels or ancestors. I would come back as someone on the spirit side of things for me, especially before like now. If I were to do anything to deserve to be punished, that would be my punishment. I'm kidding. Kind of. It was rough. The Four of Wands is our last card from the Tarot of the Abyss. And there's birthday cake. I've been sick for the past few days, but my appetite has been like crazy. I've been like wanting sweets too. I'm like, that's because I'm resting and I'm recovering. And I want all of the food. Four of Wands. Celebrate good times. Come on. And this is like one person under all four wands. Celebrate yourself, right? The bottom of the deck is the Seven of Swords. 2, 5. I like this Seven of Swords. This Seven of Swords feels like an Eight of Cups. Because they're coming out of the dark and going into the light. And that's like, it feels like post Darkest Night, Patrick was, I don't know if I was like, I was such a Pisces that like I was emotionally attached to my depression and my misery. I was like, but if I get better, if my mental health improves, then my depression is going to feel bad. And I don't want my depression to feel depressed. So I'm going to stay depressed with my depression. Girl, and I'm not even joking. I remember talking to one of my mentors, counselors, friends, um, in that year before or leading up to my darkest night. And I was like, like part of me would like feel bad or feel like guilty if I stopped being so depressed and miserable all the time. Like I dedicated so much of my life to making choices and decisions that would make me miserable, consciously passing up opportunities, connections that would make me happy or lead to fulfillment. Like I spent so much of my life actively not doing the things that I want to do that I feel like I would be betraying myself if I were to do those things. Makes no sense. Now, I mean, I can see how I felt that way, but still makes no sense. And that's what the Seven of Swords feels like. Like the Five of Swords that we started with, where it was the Three of Swords that caused us to be in that Two of Swords in reverse, feeling like we don't have any choices energy. Well, now it's Five of these swords over here, and now we have a choice with these two swords here. They're still pointed down. So, like swords in reverse, maybe still feeling like we don't have any choices, but now it's in the hand. It's about to be turned upright. Like we're coming out of it. It makes me think of the Seven of Swords in the. It's Cyril Marchetti, the Golden is Golden Tarot, Gilded Tarot. It's the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. What girl? I got it right here. Whatever this deck is, the Gilded Tarot Royale. It makes me think of the Seven of Swords in this deck. How it feels like it's not necessarily about like someone else backstabbing or betraying. It's just like it's leaving the birdcage. It's like, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore, so I'm going to bounce. So I'm not going to be. Who is this? Nine of Wands in reverse in the deck. Okay. Okay, there are more cards in reverse. Who is this? The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And the Sun? No, the Six of Cups in reverse. Still looking for the Seven of Swords. It's my mini tarot, so it's not going to be as big, just mentally preparing you for that. The Knight of Swords in reverse. I must have just put these back in reverse. Girl, where is this card? Hello? Is it going to be at the top of the deck? I didn't see it. Come on, I flipped through the whole deck. I'm gonna look one more time. 7 wands. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Because in one of the decks, it's not like that. But I'm pretty sure in this deck, it is 7 of Cups. 7 of Swords. Yeah, it is in this deck. It's like he's just leaving. He's like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. The 5 of Swords that he's carrying, and it's like, it's the way I read it one time. The 5 of Swords that he's carrying, because again, for me, the 5 of Swords is like overkill. A lot of times I see the 5 of Swords is like doing way too much. It's an unnecessary amount of force applied to a situation. But sometimes that's what it takes for us to do something that we need to do. Again, that plays into the whole like, if you have been taken advantage of, if you have been disregarded, like to be so in self-love and so in self-worth and self-value that you think other people should be punished because the way that they treated you was an atrocity. To know that you deserve that, great. To go to an extreme, not as great, but it's a great stepping stone. We are working towards cementing, incorporating, integrating a real self love. And that's why it feels like with the Five of Swords, sometimes it might be a bit extreme, but it's like, I gotta go because I can't do this anymore. That's how I read that Seven of Swords. And I think that was in I think it was in the EYE versus the capital I versus the EYE. I don't remember. Four of Wands with the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck. This is you celebrating you. You are not beholden to diminish, make yourself small for, or to delay your own joy for anybody. When it comes to loving relationships and caring connections, be they romantic, platonic, familial, whatever, you can revisit that. You can weigh out that compromise. But it's like, it's not selfish. This makes me think of like one of my Virgo best friends, and I actually have a few Virgo best friends. I love Virgos. It's fine. Where I'm like, you're not selfish for taking care of yourself. You're not mean or wicked or evil for putting yourself first for once. Because if you don't have anything to give to anybody else, because you are in need of replenishment and rejuvenation and renewal yourself, it's like if you don't have it to give, you don't have it to give. And it doesn't make you a bad person. This is very much like, it doesn't make you a bad person to celebrate yourself. It doesn't make you egotistic or prideful to acknowledge how far you've come, to strive for more. This is also one of those like, oh, you think you're better than me because blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it's not about being better than you or anybody. It's about me wanting better for me. And that's why I'm doing this, because I want more. I desire more. And it doesn't make me bad to do. Like, it doesn't make me, it doesn't make you, it doesn't make anybody. And if there are other people in our lives that are also doing it for them, it doesn't always make them bad people either. Because if they don't have it to give to us, then they don't have it to give to us. I think sometimes too, we can expect a little too much from we can demand a little too much from other people, especially when they don't have it to give. And it's the same for parents that didn't know how to raise us because they weren't necessarily raised in a certain type of way. It's for lovers that didn't know how to love because they had never been loved. Like that same grace that we get from spirit, we can also extend to ourselves and other people. You know, do we hurt each other? Yes. And again, it's relative. If someone was very, very mean and toxic and abusive and nasty, like we can extend them a certain level of compassion without necessarily having to like welcome them back into our lives to experience more of it. You know what I mean? But it doesn't make you or anyone else selfish or a bad person. And again, that energy works both ways. It works for you and it works for others. It's almost like it's just acknowledgement at a certain point. What's interesting is though, behind this Seven of Swords is the moon. So again, we're gonna get the bottom of the deck, the moon, and another card. The Seven of Swords, the moon, and the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is on the other side of that. And the Page of Swords is behind that. So this is the Page of Swords in this deck. This is where the Page of Swords gets close enough to the star to realize what she needs to do with her own sword. We see her created at the Knight of Swords, the knight that we saw with the star before. And then we get an animal, and I am done. So it works out quite gorgeous. I think it's forgiveness is a complex. Forgiveness. One of my journey buddies said there's a difference between complex and complicated. Forgiveness is complicated. It's not necessary. It's not always complex, but it feels like it's more complicated than it is complex. But that's because of our humanness, right? Our very, very understandable humanness. So again, and like all of those golden moons, like that's the process to get us to this point. And again, like we're human, we're expected to be human, but at the same time, if we want to go anywhere, sometimes we gotta take those steps. We can't always be carried. You know what I mean? two foot two pairs of footprints in the sand, and then there was a point where there was only one pair of footsteps, and we was like, yo, spirit, where did you go? And spirit was like, that part you had to walk, and we were with you the whole time, but that part of the journey you needed to walk so that now we can walk together again. And I'll carry you if I need to, but it was important for you to know that you can stand on your own 2 feet. You know what I mean? So anyway. Oh, that was quick. Oh, it's the fish with the earthworm at the bottom of the deck. Water and earth again. Excuse me. The dragonfly and the owl is behind the earthworm. Oh, I like the dragonfly behind the earthworm. There's something. This is a groundwater energy. And it's funny because I saw something about groundwater. I didn't watch the full video. I watched the preview that YouTube just like plays now that I can't turn off because it puts it in my history, and I'm like, but anyway, it talked about how there was like this steel pipe that was inserted into the ground for this construction site or whatever. And then one day someone fell into like a sinkhole. It created a sinkhole because the ground outside of that steel pipe was like getting sucked up into it. And so it was actually moving up that pipe. And that happened because of the groundwater. And they're like, if you're doing any subterranean construction on a foundation or whatever, like you need to be aware of groundwater. That feels very Pluto and Capricorn. And also Saturn and any other malefic. Well, not malefic, but that feels very like Pluto and Capricorn. And Saturn too, because Saturn, especially Capricorn, the Capricorn side of Saturn, Pluto and Capricorn, is about foundations. North Node, Taurus, South Node, Scorpio. It's about like it feels like the South Node in Scorpio is about making sure that things are good where we are. The North Node in Taurus. It's almost like, does our environment support or hinder the type of abundance that we wish to experience? Do our daily choices, decisions, behaviors, habits, patterns encourage and align with a fruitful sort of experience, or does it not? Does it tend to decay? Maybe that's why North Node Taurus has felt so just like passive. Earthquake, oh my gosh. Civil engineering, I am not a civil engineer, but I know actually quite a few civil engineers. I mean, actually, one of them I went to his wedding with my best friend in June 22nd, when I went up to Chicago. It was for his wedding. He's a civil engineer. He got his master's actually in it, but he's more like he works at the airport, so he's more like that kind of civil engineer. There's another civil engineer. I loved her. She was like a bridges civil engineer. She loved bridges. But anyway, and there were a few other ones that, anyway. The fish and the earthworm, it's groundwater because it feels like, especially with the dragonfly, like it feels like there's a puddle that you notice one day because something like dug up the earth. So I know like digging up the earth and groundwater aren't necessarily the same, but it's like there's a pool of water, and it's like, where did this pool come from? It hasn't rained. It didn't come from the sky, it came from the ground. But what is a fish earthworm? I mean, you use worms to catch fish, right? I feel like I thought of fishing earlier today for some reason. Oh, that's I remember why I thought of fishing. Patron saint of engineers. There's something almost bait-y about this. It's groundwater, it's bait. I know the fish is like abundance. I don't really know why. What does this mean to Patrick? They're both slimy and gross, and I don't really want to touch either one of them. Worms are slimy, fish are slimy. Also, well, fish have gills, but there's something about like taking in air through the body and not like through the mouth. Because I think, I could be wrong, I think oxygen diffuses into the worm through its skin. Frogs can like breathe through their skin more than like fish, but fish have gills. So like there's also like that energy here. There's something about like taking in directly like through the environment. I don't know what this is. At this point, I feel like I can just end it and I'd be satisfied. 3.5 hours. This is not what I intended. It's fine. I feel like it's like, I feel like somebody somewhere is like yelling at me. It's the fish and the earthworm. It's the fish and the earthworm. Come on, you got it. You know what this is. And I'm just like the worm is bait for the fish, and then the fish gets caught on the hook, and then either you throw the fish back into the water or you take it home. I don't know. Oh wait, what's true? You were engineering for many years. Oh snap! I kind of like want to get into it. It's funny because after doing all those engineering classes, I really thought I didn't want to be an engineer. But after working the job that I've worked for the past year and some change, I'm like, I want to be an engineer. Fish are friends, not food. The shark is under the owl. I did see the shark under the owl. That does look like Bruce. See, it just honestly it makes me think more of that like synchronized changing. Like there's something that the fish is doing in the water that we don't fully understand because this like lunar eclipse moons are like full. Like, can we have a crescent eclipse? Like, is that even a thing? The fish says yes. And then the worm is like moving around and clearing some space in the earth. I don't know. This is the relationship between earth and water. I don't know. I quit. I give up. And I mean, maybe it's just that. Like, maybe we've done the whole. Maybe we're shifting phase now. Like, we did the whole water in relation to fire, fire in relation to water thing, right? Maybe we're moving on to like water and earth. Maybe it's that like it's almost like as dry as things were or can be, the element of water is still present in earth. You can't have a flourishing earth without water because even cactuses and succulents need some water. The amount is different for each, but you can't have one without the other. It's impossible. And maybe that's why it's a groundwater energy. Maybe that is why it's groundwater because it was always there. That feels like it's important, actually. It's one of those going back to that, there were two sets of footprints in the sand and then there was only one. And that's because capital HE was carrying you or me or whoever. Like that's the groundwater. Excuse me. It's more so that like even when we think we're alone, we're not. Even when we think we're going through something by ourselves, we're not. It's not always for that energy to be so clearly present and prevalent and whatever. Sometimes it is a little bit more in the background for whatever reason. Sometimes it's important for us to do things. But even in those times, we're not alone. I think also there was a scarab on the Emperor card. I forgot to mention it. I'm looking at the two eyes on these boxes. Because there was an eye. I don't know if it was an eye of Horus or an eye of Ra on the Emperor, but there was a scarab under it. Um, it's almost, I don't know, that's kind of weird though. It's like it's important for us to think that we're alone sometimes, but to also realize that we aren't. And maybe that's because of observation. When you think you're being watched, or when you know you're being watched, there are certain things that you do that you wouldn't do if other people weren't watching. So, is it a little bit of that? What's done in the dark comes to the light? Sure. Is that the point? No. You know what I mean? And beyond that, girl, I don't know. I hope y'all have an amazing whatever. Whenever you see this, I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope and pray that, I don't know, what do I hope and pray? I hope and pray that, I guess I hope and pray that you get to a point in your journey in life where you feel that your choices matter. And then I hope you make choices that get you what you want. I hope you make choices and decisions that make you happy, that lead to abundance and fulfillment in all ways that you can experience it. I hope that you allow yourself joy if all you've experienced is pain. I hope you allow for your tomorrow to be brighter than your yesterday. And I hope that you find a way to love yourself and others. And I hope you an environment where you can love yourself and love other people, where self love and love for others don't conflict, where you don't have to defend yourself. I hope you an environment where you can be vulnerable, but at the same time, not feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, you know how, like, sometimes you can be, like, vulnerable with people? Like, you can be real raw, but it doesn't feel like it because there's no, like, threat of attack or retaliation or somebody, like, doing whatever. And then, like, that level of, like, connection and, like, acceptance and, like, love that you can feel from somebody that isn't you, girl. I hope that for you because that's, like, amazing. I hope more than that for you, but at the very least, I hope that for you. And money, because, abundance. Like, I hope that you can do in your physical experience that which you desire to do. I hope that money is of no object to you and it has no bearing on what you do and where you go. Because I hope you can do what you want. So, it was so lovely with all of you tonight. Um, this was fun. I particularly enjoyed the part before I started pulling cards, really, because I feel like all the cards were so great. And then I started reading them and I was like, oof. But, like, there's so much in the process that's necessary. By the end of it, we got there. So I won't begrudge it, even though I was really hoping it would be gorgeous all the way through, but that's fine. You know, if it resonates, hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully it's not like it resonates and then like things just keep sucking. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, times are rough and terrible. And then that's it. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully we go somewhere. We get somewhere, you know. But anyway, I mean, it's also important to acknowledge when times aren't great. Because, and to like sit with it long enough to get what we're supposed to get out of it. Because sometimes we might be so, and maybe that's the Seven of Wands too. Maybe the Seven of Wands is like we think we already know everything. And it's like, no, you don't. That's why I'm here. Surprise, hello. It's me. And it's like, oh yeah, I've dealt with you before. Six of Wands, got it, boom. And so we shelve it and then it pops back up and it's like, hey, it's me again. It's like, oh yeah, I know you. Six of Wands, boom, already got, like, you're taken care of, girl. Like, to the back, like, bye. And then it's like, I'm here again. So obviously I'm not taken care of. Are you actually going to look at me this time? And then you look at him and you quake a little bit. And you're like, nope, Six of Wands. I already took care of you. I already took care of you. Bye. And it's like, no, you didn't. And you're like, yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Girl, I know it's not easy. Trust me. Like I said, if anybody can get away with not doing the work, I would very, very, very much so love for it to be me. But at the same time, because of where I am in my journey and because of everything I said about my Saturn return, I can appreciate everything, honestly. I have such a deep appreciation for every, like, even the worst and darkest points of my life. And I just recently realized that some of them were darker than I thought they were. And it's like, oh, wow. I didn't even realize it was that dark when I was there. Guess I was just kind of used to it. But facing everything that I'm facing, like, there's no other way. I say that, but if I didn't experience it in the first place, maybe there would have been a lot of ways. But the past is the past. What's done is done. And now it's not undone. It's redone. It's like recycled or upcycled. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.